Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I can't believe it.
What is it? A letter confirming your reservation at the Nut House?
It's from my company.
Your bonus.
My bonus.
Open it, Clarky. Open it.
Yeah, I hope it's a porch, Clark.
You do, Eddie?
But first, for the past 6 years, members of the Mosquito Control Board in St. Johns County have voted to award themselves ever-growing holiday bonuses. Here to tell us about it is the reporter who broke the story, Jacksonville Today reporter Noah Hertz. Good morning, Noah.
Good morning, Ann.
I guess I should correct myself. It's not the past 6 years. It's, I guess, 6 out of 7.
It's the past, 6 out of the last 7 years, and possibly more than that, too. It's just that record keeping is a little difficult the further back you go. So definitely 6 out of the last 7 years.
So how did you first learn about this?
So I received an email. Believe it or not, I have not been keeping super close tabs on what the Mosquito Control Board is up to. Now, I can definitely tell you going forward, I will be at every one of those meetings. But I received an email from a reader and a constituent who had CC'd a bunch of people and was particularly frustrated that maybe the board should not be cutting themselves bonuses from the taxpayer funding that the board receives. And that kind of threw up some alarm bells in my head. So I went back and I watched their November meeting and caught this big long discussion where, you know, the board members were talking about how the salaries that they can take home are capped. I believe the cap is around $4,400 by state statute. They are not allowed to take home any more money than that. But it is a holiday tradition of theirs to give bonuses to the 20, 25 or so employees that the district employs to, you know, go out and spray mosquito insecticide, to be educators, to be researchers. They employ a lot of people. And included in those holiday bonuses were the members, the elected members of this mosquito control board, control district board as well. So the discussion in November was actually surprisingly tame. There was really nobody who raised any red flags about this, but there was one board member who was absent from that meeting. Her name is Gleason. Last name is Gleason. And Commissioner Gleason, after hearing from the constituent who tipped me off as well that this might be untoward, reached out to their attorney, who has only been there for the last year, so this is the first holiday she's been around for, and goes, hey, is this allowed? Are we allowed to be cutting ourselves $1,000 bonuses? And the attorney looks into it, comes back at their December meeting, and goes, actually, no, you are not allowed to be doing this. Determined that this was null and void, that this is not something they even have the power to do, and so those bonuses are gone. So now we are currently waiting. She has sent out a missive to the Inspector General's office or the Attorney General's office here in Florida to determine whether the sitting board members need to return past bonuses they have received or whether they should all just kind of pretend none of this happened, move on, and get on with their lives.
And so these are not small bonuses. I mean, as you said, this year it was a proposed $1,000 per board member bonus. I believe that's what they also awarded themselves last year. But they've been creeping up over time. Yeah,
this is something that there's one person who just finished a more than 10-year tenure on the board. Her name is Catherine Brandhorst, and Commissioner Brandhorst, while defending this decision, said that, you know, this is something that we've been doing since the 80s. And, you know, record keeping for that is a little difficult, but I was able to determine that for absolute certain, they were cutting themselves $100 bonuses in 2018 and 19, and then it crept up. I don't remember exactly what year, but it crept up to $250. And then we kept going up and up and up until last year and this year. Last year, they took home a $1,000 bonus. And this year, like you said, it was a proposed $1,000 bonus. So in defending this move, this is something Commissioner Brandhorst said is, well, you know, all of our employees get cost of living increases to their salaries, but we don't, and it's unfair. Therefore, we should be able to award ourselves this money. But you can imagine that it's a little sticky when it comes to state statute when you are a elected representative using taxpayer money to give yourself money.
And the statute says your salary is capped.
Yes.
And that you can't give yourself more.
And that's where, you know, it's tricky. It's tricky when you talk about this kind of stuff because legality and the ethical nature of some of these things gets a little sticky when you're an elected representative. It kind of comes down to, you know, who's going to call you on it. And so in a case like this, it is, well, does the money that they're giving themselves amount to a raise or a one-off bonus? And considering it is pretty seriously explicit in state statute about how much money they're allowed to take home, their attorney determined that this does look like a raise.
And so you also mentioned Commissioner Catherine Brandhorst, and she's sort of on her way out. She's been on the board for a long time, and she was the one that, tried to justify these as saying their pay wasn't fair. But she also proposed a different expansion of this bonus this year. Tell us a little bit about what she was angling for.
Yeah, there was some discussion during the November meeting where she pitched, why not make these bonuses that we're taking home be merit-based? She pitched something that would have looked like a $500 bonus per year that a commissioner has served on the board, which, again, seems a little yucky, a little sticky to me, given that you're an elected representative. That would be encouraging you to continue to run in order to get ticking up amounts of money. Given how long she had served on the board, that would have amounted to like a $6,000-$7,000 bonus, somewhere in that ballpark.
Wow. And so she pitched that as merit-based, but actually based on year. I mean, nothing specifically merit-based about just the fact that you've been there a long time.
Yeah, just time served. And I mean, Commissioner Brandhorst has been under fire this past year as well. She had some health issues, and because of that, she missed quite a few meetings of the Mosquito Control District's board. And so it reached a point where the commissioner said, look, Catherine, if you miss one more meeting and you don't tell us ahead of time and give us a reason for it, we are going to write a letter to the governor and ask him to remove you from the board. She did end up missing another meeting after that last year. They did write a letter to the governor, as they say, and it didn't go anywhere. So she has now been replaced by somebody new. His name is TJ Mazzata. He will serve in her role on the board going forward. But yeah, it's definitely, there's quite a bit of drama surrounding a relatively small board that in the grand scheme of things deals with considerably less money than the county government does, but it's still quite a bit of taxpayer money.
Yeah. And it's an obscure, it's the Anastasia Mosquito Control District. It is, as you alluded to, a fairly obscure body, but they can levy taxes. And they have in the past used that power to increase the levy. They have been involved in some other issues that have drawn some scrutiny over the years. But I think in recent years, there just really hasn't been a reporting presence there. So what is the purpose of the board? What are they supposed to be doing? Are they unique in Florida government in the state?
So most counties in Florida, or I guess it'd be generalizing to say most counties. A lot of counties in Florida have arms of the county government that can levy separate taxes for mosquito control. I came from Volusia County. That's where I grew up. In Volusia County, the mosquito control is an arm of the county government. So when you get your property tax bill, it's all going to be on one property tax bill that the county is specifically pulling money, this amount of mills, for mosquito control. Now, in that case, since it is under the county government, it's just an arm of them. They do not have a separate elected board overseeing them. So there's only a couple of boards or a couple of districts across the state that have separate elected boards overseeing their mosquito control. Now, this is something that, talking to the folks on the board, talking to like the director of the district and all the other things, this is a benefit in their case because the Anastasia Mosquito Control District has a lot more freedom to do research, to participate in, like I said, research and education and all kinds of things because they are separate from the county government, totally different amount of bureaucracy. You don't have to get a county commission to sit there and approve every single thing that you do. They're able to do things separately. And because of that, they have their own education center they've opened that is functionally a mosquito museum. They are able to participate in all of these conferences where mosquito control researchers and educators go to every year to then bring back, as they would say, I guess, state-of-the-art pesticides and pesticides they can help research and all these things. So the argument there would be that their independence gives them a lot more freedom to potentially do better mosquito control service for this chunk of Northeast Florida.
Do we get the sense that the commissioners themselves are traveling for this purpose?
Every now and then, you know, for conferences and such. I would not say it's an every week kind of thing, but you know, the commissioners that I have spoken to on the board are surprisingly excited about mosquito control. I guess you would have to be if you're serving on a board like that. But the people I've talked to are people who genuinely, at least to some degree, seem passionate about ensuring that the mosquito control in St. Johns County and the surrounding area is the best that it can be.
So Noah, this board, I mean, there have been questions over the years about whether this board is truly necessary. And that has come out of, you know, following some millage rate increases, some purchases that were somewhat controversial. One of them is a helicopter that does aerial spraying and cost about $600,000 to buy. It costs about $800,000 for the helipad that they built in the hangar, and about $400,000 a year just to operate it. You've had some up close experience with this helicopter.
Yes, I have. When I visited the Mosquito Control District's headquarters earlier this year to tour their new education center, they insisted that they give me a tour of the area, an aerial tour from the helicopter. And, you know, as a journalist, I really try not to take free things. It makes me really, really uncomfortable. But they just kept offering and like, come on, look, the helicopter, it's already running. Why don't you just go ahead and jump in? And so I did accept a brief flyover tour in the helicopter. It was a nice helicopter, I'll tell you that. It does not surprise me that it takes that much money in order to do upkeep on that vehicle, because it is quite nice. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Noah Hertz, you're doing great reporting in St. Johns County. Thanks for the report on the Anastasia Mosquito Control District. You can find his stories at Jacksonville Today. He's done a number of them on that board, but thank you for all your other reporting in St. Johns County.
Thank you very much, Ann.
All right.
I ever tell you about the first time I leave the state of Georgia?
When was that?
A few minutes back.
Go on.
Yes. Now, my daughter, she's married to a Pullman porter, you know. She's always on the go. York, Detroit, St. Louis. I said, well, now that's all well and good, Tommy Lee, but I just don't feel the need for it. So here it is. First time. And I might tell you, Miss Daisy, Alabama ain't looking like much so far.
Step up to a fast food counter in Alabama, and there's a chance that the person taking your order or flipping burgers in the back, that they are an incarcerated person on work release. They may earn paychecks, weekend passes home, but according to 2 years of investigative reporting by the Associated Press, they may also be exploited or abused. That labor force comes cheap for employers. It has generated hundreds of millions of dollars for Alabama, a state with a long history of profiting from the labor of folks with little or no choice in the matter. Margie Mason is an investigative reporter at the Associated Press and joins me now. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start just by defining that term, prison labor. What kind of work are incarcerated people doing?
Well, today they are working in the state of Alabama everywhere from McDonald's to Burger King to Wendy's, Holiday Inn, Best Western, even local beer distributor, Bama Budweiser. They're also, working for car part manufacturers that supply big automotive companies like GM, Ford, Honda, Toyota, and others. They are doing public works along highways. So they're doing a whole lot of things, and you just might not realize how many places they're working and where they're working, and that Alabama is profiting off of this work.
And what's in it for those companies, the ones doing the hiring? What's in it for the state?
Well, the companies get a very reliable workforce that comes in. They're being brought in vans to and from their facilities every day at a time when we all know there's massive shortages right now for a lot of these companies. And so they're also able to get tax breaks in some cases. The state takes 40% off the top of all of the wages that come in, plus an additional $5 a day for transportation fees and $15 a month for laundry. And we calculated, going back to 2000, just taking these fees, the state has brought in more than $250 million. And in the past 5 years alone, more than 500 companies have been essentially leasing out incarcerated workers from the state.
So for incarcerated workers, I mean, I mentioned they can collect a paycheck. There are some other benefits. They also face risks, and I wanted to get right into that. What kind of risks?
Well, sometimes they're put to work in dangerous places like poultry plants. We found one man was pulled into a machine and killed instantly at a poultry plant. They are out working alongside, working on the sides of roads. Oftentimes we'll see them driving by. We don't even maybe pay attention. And so our reporting that's more broad, looking at the whole series, what we found is oftentimes when incarcerated workers are hurt or killed on the job, it's very difficult for them. There's a dual system. They don't have the same rights and protections that other American workers have. So they might not be eligible for things like workers' compensation, disability benefits. They can't protest or strike if they have poor working conditions. And if they refuse to work, in some cases, they can be punished.
This can also get tied up with parole. Is that correct? Based on your reporting, how does parole tie into the work release program?
Right. So Alabama last year, they only granted parole to about 8% of those who were eligible. And that number has more than doubled this year after public outcry. But, you know, we spoke to one man who gave us an example. He, for the past 6 years, has worked at numerous jobs on work release and was fired from KSC after they did not give him a raise following a year of work. In his words, he said that there were teenagers working the counter, you know, on weekends that were making more than him. And so then when he came up for parole, he said that he was denied and that was used against him, the fact that he was fired. And his argument is, if I'm safe enough to work 40 hours a week full time and I'm getting a home pass once a month to go stay with my family without any monitoring, how then am I being told by the parole board that I am too dangerous to be out in society?
Although it's interesting because you found that many advocates who work on issues of prison labor, that they are not arguing for it to be abolished. Why is that? What changes do they want to see?
Right. So I think a lot of the prisoner advocates are saying, look, don't just take the jobs away, because the jobs can be beneficial in terms of sometimes, depending on the job, they're able to provide skills. A lot of the incarcerated workers want to be outside. They want to be contributing to society, and they want to be earning a little bit of money that they can have when they leave, so that they're not just leaving with nothing. But the prisoner advocates are saying, you know, they need to be paid a fair wage. These jobs should be voluntary. No one should be forced to work against their will. And they're also, you know, making these arguments and saying that there should not be a dual system. The same rights and protections that are being given to any American worker should be provided to the incarcerated workers as well. And if things go wrong, if they're hurt or killed on the job, they should be permitted to sue.
When you have taken your reporting to the state, to the Alabama Department of Corrections, what do they say?
So the Department of Corrections, they say that this work that they're offering, first of all, they say all the work release programs are voluntary, and they say that they're preparing incarcerated workers to return to society. But they're also saying that some of these prisoners are, you know, basically sentenced to life without parole. So essentially, they're not going to get out. And even though these jobs are voluntary, they're also coveted because the system is so violent that most of the workers want to work in these programs that are attached to these minimum security facilities. And if they refuse to work, they could then be sent back to the more violent facilities. I think Alabama last year, almost one person died every day.
Margie Mason. Her story, along with fellow AP reporter Robin McDowell, is headlined, Alabama profits off prisoners who work at McDonald's but deems them too dangerous for parole. Margie Mason, thank you very much for your reporting.
Thank you so much.
And a note, NPR has reached out to the Alabama Department of Corrections for comment ourselves. We have yet to hear back.
In the next decade, millions of manufacturing jobs will open up in the U.S. as workers retire. Meanwhile, the sector is also supposed to add more jobs with help from federal subsidies. But by some current estimates, only half of those jobs will be filled. So where will the workers needed come from? Well, how about some two-year colleges like Cincinnati State? Our economics correspondent Paul Salmon paid a visit in search of hope for the future.
It had to have 3 wheels. It had to be a gas motor, and it has to have a wheelie bar because these things do wheelies.
We used to say when I was a kid, cool as a moose.
Not exactly your grandparents' shop class here at Cincinnati State Technical and Community College.
The students have 2 semesters to design and build this. Semester 1, they design everything you're sitting on.
Zane Decker now runs part of the program he himself recently graduated from. Teaching skills much in demand these days.
And let's go ahead and look at the simulation, see how it looks.
Schools like Cincinnati State are key training grounds to prepare students for manufacturing jobs for which there just aren't enough workers these days, like a GE Aviation, a partner to this program. The job gap is especially important here in Ohio, America's 3rd most manufacturing-heavy state.
Demand is just skyrocketing for this, and if you went back 20 years ago, there wasn't as much demand as there is today.
That tool right there, it's called an 1/8-inch ball mill.
Demand for the likes of 20-year-old Andrew Lakes.
And it turns that software into G-code. And this is what G-code is right now. And it's reading all those lines of code, and that line of code tells us what that tool is going to do.
Which is?
I'm building a pocket knife handle.
A pocket knife handle?
Yes. As you can see right here, I have a few prototypes. Right now I'm working on my finishing product.
So this is your finger goes there? Is
Yep.
that? His first foray, a flop.
Here you can see I went a little too deep.
Right
ended up
over
breaking
there,
a tool.
You broke a tool?
Yeah, I broke the tool.
Is that humiliating?
Yeah, a little bit, but you learn from your mistakes and you learn to move on and what to do better next time.
Rather more challenging, a working race buggy. This is last year's model.
Next year's car, which is what I'm working on and is what I'm designing, is going to be so small that it's going to be able to fit inside of this car.
Amy Gutman Fuentes, also a student here. And you're going to build the whole thing?
Yep.
And then what do you do with it?
Then we'll race it.
In the spring at college Baja competitions like this one. And how do you expect to do with one of these things in the spring?
I think we're going to crush it because we're one of 2 or 3 community colleges that compete alongside, these major universities with huge budgets, and we've done pretty well. So I think this new car is going to be like the best.
Baja racers and knife handles are just a few lures for students to attend this program and acquire skills for America's supposed manufacturing renaissance.
We're going to launch a historic buildup of American manufacturing muscle and might.
But there's a big problem. What we hear, what we read, is that there's a real shortage of people going into manufacturing while lots of people are retiring from manufacturing. Yeah. Not the case?
It's absolutely the case. We have all these people retiring that have the skills. We've got this younger generation that there's a big skills gap where we need to get this younger generation to replace these people who are retiring.
Where better to get the skill than at America's community colleges, where nearly 9 million students pay a tiny fraction the cost of a 4-year degree. And how much does it cost to be here?
For me, it costs about $3,000 a semester.
For a job that pays?
After I graduate, I'm expected to make about $26 to $27 on the hour.
So $26, $27 an hour, $50,000, $60,000 a year, right?
Roughly, yes.
And for around here, that's good money?
Yes, especially for someone my age.
Especially for starting pay in Ohio.
We really emphasize preparing students for the workforce of the future because our job is to meet the needs of the local economy.
Monica Posey, president of Cincinnati State.
85 to 90% of our students stay in this area and work. And we have great partnership with employers, and they tell us what they need, what we should be investing in, what we should do.
But, and here's the crux of this story, Zane Decker's classes are undersubscribed. Cutting-edge skills, good jobs, lack of workers nationwide, and yet not enough young people in the pipeline. How many of you think that people like yourselves aren't here because manufacturing is uncool. Uncool. No? Because it's too hard. Really, almost everybody. Because they just don't know about it. That too. I put the same questions to the teacher, Zane Decker.
We've got to work on changing and really having people realize that if you look around the shop, it's not all that dirty, right? People are out there challenging themselves. They're spending half their time on the computer, half their time on their shop floor. I think if we can show young people that this is a viable career and the training is available for it, we can fill that gap.
But we're nowhere near there yet, right?
Yeah, we're not there yet. I think a lot of it is just the stigma around this field and getting people to realize that it's a much nicer job than it used to be 50 years ago.
And its president, Monica Posey, says Cincinnati State gets federal and state funding to do so.
We're recruiting and we're doing everything we can to invest in it, but we also know that we need to recast manufacturing in terms of student and families, their attitude about the industry.
But still not an easy sell, even with incentives like this one, which literally anybody can drive. And if you spend 4 semesters here while prepping to propel America's proposed manufacturing future, you can even build. For the PBS NewsHour, Paul Salmon, risking my neck to amuse you in Cincinnati, Ohio.
New York, New York, New York.
And we are following another developing story. Law enforcement carrying out a search warrant at the home of former NYPD Chief of Department Jeffrey Maddrey, as well as several other locations. All of this after he suddenly resigned amid allegations that he accepted sexual favors in exchange for approving overtime pay. Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles is live outside Maddrey's home in Rosedale, Queens. Darla.
Lauren, this is a criminal investigation led by the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District in New York, and this is a separate investigation from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. While former Chief of Department Jeffrey Maddrey stepped down last month, it is clear this case is not going away. On the first business day of the new year, federal investigators combing the Queens home of Jeffrey Maddrey, the once highest-ranking uniformed NYPD officer, now the subject of a departmental and criminal investigation. Thursday morning, Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch announcing Maddrey's suspension, writing, "At my direction, the Internal Affairs Bureau of the New York City Police Department is working with law enforcement authorities to investigate allegations against former Chief of Department Jeffrey Maddrey." On December 21st, Lieutenant Quantisha Epps, a 19-year veteran of the department, filing an EEOC complaint stating between June 2023 and December 16, 2024, Maddrey exploited her emotional and financial vulnerabilities, as well as her history of childhood trauma, in order to coerce her into performing unwanted sexual favors. Allegations prompting Maddrey to abruptly step down. A week later, Maddrey and his attorney publicly addressing the alleged misconduct.
Lieutenant Epps got caught with her hand in the cookie jar and is trying to deflect her wrongdoing.
The attorney for Lieutenant Epps immediately firing back in a written statement that reads in part, "While his legal team attempts to frame this as a consensual relationship, the facts and evidence tell a far more troubling story of abuse of power, manipulation, and predatory behavior within the NYPD. Let me be unequivocally clear. There can be no consent in a workplace where one individual wields immense power over another's livelihood." Mayor Adams also addressing the disturbing allegations just this past Tuesday.
His policing practices and what he has done as a police officer, the knowns, I have been extremely, extremely proud of those knowns. Those are the things that people knew him for and what he has done.
Now, even though Chief Maddrey issued his resignation on December 20th, that doesn't go into effect for 30 days, according to departmental policy. They have 30 days to investigate any of these allegations. That is apparently what is going on right now at the Internal Affairs Bureau. So he is still technically a member of the department, and that is why he was suspended because of these allegations this morning. Reporting live in Rosedale, Queens, Darla Miles, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Context of White Supremacy. Gus T. Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the system of white supremacy. Today's date, Friday, January 3, 2025. So I have been told, our first Neutralizing Workplace Racism of the new year, so-called. In for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information with non-white people, victims of white supremacy, exclusively about what is happening on the job, not for spectators. They have got lots of options. You got brain damage bowls every day, provided people aren't letting off explosives down in New Orleans or Las Vegas. They got lots of options for spectating. Got more brain damage all month long. I said that's almost like another holiday by the time they pile up all of the so-called bowl games and leading up to the Super Bowl and bashing your brain in and all the part. You can do all your spectating there and TV watching and such. This is not for spectating. This is for victims of racism exclusively. Exchanging views, hopefully even maybe a suggestion or two about how to use counter-racist logic in the workplace. Solve problems without creating new problems. Minimize conflict with non-white people, victims of racism on the job. If you figured out any ways, strategies that will aid in this process, let us know. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. And we will include your commentary. You have the email that way if you don't want to be identified with your specific voice, right? You can still participate, share. If you have suggestions especially, or even if you have some difficulties, what have you, you can email and we can read your commentary. You can stay anonymous and unheard. We'll get to a few of the audio segments that we heard at the beginning, and we'll get to the folks who dialed in, wrote in as well. Let's see, the first report, talking about down in Florida, Sunshine State, Noah Hertz, and he's talking about specifically the Anastasia, I hope I'm saying it correctly, Anastasia Mosquito Control District, where they have been, I guess, doing these Christmas bonuses for, they said it's been going on for decades, back to the 80s that this has been going on. And so they wait till the end of the year. Their salary is supposed to be capped, but they wait till the end of the year. And then, whammo, we'll do our bonus. They said it started off, they remembered back in the 80s that they were doing this, and it was supposed to be, I think they said like $100, right? Which I guess is reasonable. I'd have to do the inflation calculator to see, because that probably, by the time you do the inflation, that's probably like, I don't know, $300, $400 today's money. Maybe it wouldn't be as reasonable, but whatever. So they did $100. They said somehow we got to like 2018 through 2019, and it went from, well, we've been doing 100 all these years. We got the inflation, cost of living, and let's bump it up to 250. They said by the time the Rona gets here, they went from 250, 500, then they got all the way up to 1,000 last year. Like, dang, that is like a quick escalator. They made up for lost time. Like, man, we didn't get all our bonuses and increases and everything, and they didn't cap our old salary. We gonna get Christmas bonus. We fitting to come up. Now they said it took one of the staff members going to ask, hey, do we have the authority to even do this? Now, they've been doing this for 40 years. Incidentally, I need to see a picture of this board? Like, who are the people on the Anastasia Mosquito Control District board? Like, just let's see them all. If they got all this money for helicopters and everything, at minimum they got to take a group photo like once a year. It should be like you could take the picture with the helicopter, right? Just show off so we can see, who exactly are the people on the. Okay, there we go. Now we got the picture. Let's see who is on the Anastasia Mosquito Control Board. Man, I don't see too many dark faces up in here. Andrew Gillum down there in Florida, they could have looked out for him, right? Say, we put you on the mosquito board. You couldn't be governor, so we put you on the mosquito board. It looks like maybe, I'm going to try to go overboard the other way. So it looks like definitely one non-white person, maybe two. These would not be people classified as black. I'm going to say maybe two. Max 3, I think. I'm going to say max 3 out of 10. So 30% non-white. I think 70% white. Got a good number of, well, I guess they could say they're patriarchal because they only got one white woman. Now they only got 2 white women. Now they got a number of non-white females, non-white, non-black, but they only got 2 white women out of 10 people. So I guess they can say, you being sexist to the white woman, you should have had more white women on the board. I guess. I don't know. Ain't no niggers getting no $100 bonus, $1,000 bonus, whatever. I can't imagine that they would have had a whole lot of dark people on the board like back in the 80s or anything like that. So that's about what I would expect. They said about $600,000 helicopter and $400,000 just to maintain that for the year. And then we do our old budgets and all that. Like, I did not think it was going to be Lakeisha, Asada, Jamal, Leroy. I did not think that they were going to be the ones piled up on the board, giving out bonuses to themselves at the end of the calendar year. Now we get through, and the helicopter, even that. Do you need a state-of-the-art, like $600,000 helicopter for the mosquitoes? Like, is this helicopter like used to dump chemicals, spray? Because I know they do that sometimes to control mosquitoes. Like, is this helicopter used for that? Or is this just, for y'all to jaunt around the city and get aerial views, allegedly, of the mosquito population? Or sometimes we just show off to our homies and friends. Like, what they even said, some people said, do you need all of this for the mosquito board in Anastasia County? Like, for real? For real, for real. This isn't even for the whole state of Florida. I've seen they have like crop duster planes and all that. Like, if this is primarily supposed to be like for something mosquito, like I said, you dump chemical agents and that sort of thing, keep the population of mosquitoes down. Did you have to get a $600,000 copter? You couldn't have got a cheaper one? Why even a helicopter? You could have got a plane, right, to do that, save a little bit of money. Fuel, too, because that's another one. They do all that nonsense about we're going to be E and carbon footprint and yum, 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 and helicopter. Okay. Anyway, and even within that, in that report, they had a white man, Noah Hertz, is that his name? Make sure I get it correct. But this white fella down in Florida, suspected race soldier, and he says, he's going to report about all this, and he's hearing about these salaries. Is this legal? Are they even allowed to do this? And blah, 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 getting more information. And he says that they, offer him, hey, you should go up in the helicopter, man. It's already running. But he's like, oh, man, it makes me feel kind of icky. I'm taking things for free. Like, man, you are a grown white man. If you didn't want to get on the helicopter, I'm good. No, I'm good. Or, hey, this is part of the story. Let me get on so I can, see what this thing looks like. Is this just ragged? I ask some questions while we're up here. What do you all use this for? Don't give me all that, trying to, butter me up here and giving me free rides and, like, please, dude, like, come on. And take some pictures, if anything. If you are going to do the ride, as opposed to telling us like you feeling guilty about it, take some pictures. What does this copter look like, man? And like I said, is this just used for them to jet around so they can go to these different conferences and call themselves learning the new chemicals and ways to fight off mosquitoes and all the rest, exchange some nigger jokes? Or is this, they use this for other purposes, even mapping out populations? Maybe they got special equipment. They can, with all that money, they can map out, oh, that's where the hives are, blah, 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 that sort of thing. Maybe. Anyway, with the bonuses specifically, do we have people I'm not even asking if you are in a decision-making position to decide how much it's going to be and who's going to get it and all that. I'm just, do you get a bonus? I don't mean you get a tacky ornament, a bag of M&Ms, peanut butter cookies, homemade, none of that. Like a bonus of some sort of cash value at the end. I can't even think of anything. Even if it was a gym membership, nope, some sort of bonus of cash value at the end of the year. Do you all work jobs where you do that? Because I know you have a substantial number of people classified as white. They work jobs like this, and it sounds like this is probably a side job, so these people might have multiple jobs. They get multiple bonuses. But jobs where you get some sort of, at the end of the year, maybe it's a percentage of what your salary is or something else, where, man, you might have people that get, $5,000 bonus at the end of the year, $1,000 bonus, $500 bonus at the end of the year. Now, I know some companies, they do this for tax purposes or whatever. Either way, you get your bonus at the end of the year. And for some, that may explain why some people classified as white, they are super festive this time of year. It is party time. That $5,000 bonus then hit my account, man, pass the Cavassier. And they take all that time off. I got extra dollars. Oh, yeah, we going on vacation. We strip club in Cancun, man. But do we have lots of niggers? Do you all get bonus at the end of the year? Cash, even if it's $20. Like I said, cash, even if it's $20. Now, you heard the mosquito people, $1,000 before somebody said, whoa, 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 what is this? And I didn't hear nothing about no restitution. You're going to have to pay this back. Ooh, you're going to get in trouble. It's going on your credit report. Nothing. They said we can just move forward like it never happened. What about all that money? We could just move forward like it never. That was taxpayer. Right? We could move forward. Dang. Dang. They got black people in Florida. If they had stolen $15 worth of food stamps, you got to pay that back, Leroy. You got to pay that back, right? It won't even let you vote till you pay it back, in fact. Whatever. So, let's see. That's Florida. We heard about the control of mosquitoes, allegedly. Then we heard the report about the community colleges. They are working, and they were talking about Ohio specifically, Cincinnati. The community colleges and their role, they didn't say it, but the term is silver tsunami. That's what they've been saying, the metaphor. Large numbers, particularly of people classified as white. But they've had all these jobs where they didn't allow anybody but people classified as white to have these jobs or to have the skills and knowledge to do these jobs. Uh-oh. You got lots of these old, crusty white people. Now they're too old to do this job, a la President Biden. Now they're too old. Uh-oh. And we only got Obamas to turn to. Uh-oh. I've been saying, see if you can get some of these jobs, man. You seeing white people, they're retiring. Pick out some that, hey, this seems interesting. I might be able to do that. Community college, right there. I've said that. Take advantage. Most people, live somewhat close to a community college. Take advantage. They were talking about, different types of industry and saying that I think a lot of people just don't know about those types of jobs. I think white people do a spectacular job. You could even relate it. You can put the two reports together. Now, that was Alabama. They were talking about putting the niggers in prison. See, they could have taken all of these niggers that they pipeline to prison, all the Jamals and Devontae, and as opposed to that, we're going to pipeline you niggers to manufacturing, because that's what we need. And that's what they end up doing anyway. Once they get you in prison, put you in there and send you out. And even in Alabama now, you didn't hear them doing no manufacturing or nothing cool where they pick up a trade and a skill or nothing like that. They send Leroy to KFC. I even got a sideways look about that, like, really? I can't be no better than Breaking Bad. Like, regardless of what the context of the scenario, you got to put the Negro with fried chicken. Whatever. But they didn't put them in no manufacturing or nothing like that. I'm sure. I've been to Alabama. They got community colleges in Alabama, yes. I mean, they have prison programs where you can take like Harvard classes and Ivy League classes in some areas. You can't get community college access to manufacturing in Alabama, something that would, yeah, maybe you could pick up a skill so you won't be what they call you a recidivist, won't be recalcitrant. This will be a one and done stop for Leroy. Never see me back here in no prison fatigues again. I'm out with a good job, making money, doing my thing in Alabama. I might even go to a Roll Tide game every now and then because I got good money. Nah, working at the KFC, and they won't even pay me right at the KFC. Use that as justification to deny me parole. In fact, I don't want to cook chicken tenders for free. For the colonel. Anyway, I will get back to the Alabama for the community colleges. I say again, if you have children, I'd play that segment for them specifically. If you have children, especially in Ohio, like, oh my goodness, play that segment right there. You don't have to rack up all that debt going to University of Cincinnati, the Ohio State with Mike Swango and such, Jeffrey Dahmer. You don't have to do all that. You just go to the community college, get a job, steady income. Hey, what's not to like? Be working quicker? What's not to like? Maybe the bots don't take those jobs so quickly. At least that can be an option. Like I said, I think you have a lot of non-white people. They aren't even aware of these types of jobs. Air traffic controller and some of the other jobs that they are really hurting for. Going to be lots more of those with that silver tsunami. Talk about these sorts of jobs, career options, really, with your offspring, especially if they're, young, 10, 11, 12, 13. Be talking about this with them, helping them research and think about this as they're growing and maturing, thinking about what they want to do with their life and study. Now, you heard, like I said, now conversely, down in Alabama, where they got the Prisoners Act, they only got audio for this, but I suspect there's a lot of black people. They didn't mention nothing about race. They didn't mention nothing about race. And in Alabama, of all places, Coretta Scott King rolling over in her grave. Rosa Parks rolling over in her grave. In Alabama, of all places, they don't say nothing about race and who exactly is getting stuffed in these prisons. And then you got these lame labor programs in the state making all that money because they get to charge you for transportation, charge you for laundry, and all. I was like, dang, do they spend that much on transportation every day? For real? Laundry? Do they spend that much on laundry every day? To send you to KFC? I don't know. I don't even, in fact, pause, I would feel some type of way. I'm going to KFC and they got the prisoners working at the KFC. Like, what the? And they don't even pay the prisoners. I said they got teenagers working the register who make more money than me. Now, I guess some people say that's the way it should be, Leroy. You should have behaved yourself. That is not the way that I think about it. Like I said, I would not be able to enjoy my extra crispy buttered biscuit, gravy, taters. I wouldn't be able to enjoy. What? What? How many more years you got? You gonna be working here the whole time? Every time I come in here to get my extra crispy, you gonna be for the next 10 years? Man. It would really, mess with my extra crispy experience. Maybe I'd take it to go. Even have to see him in the drive-thru or something like, yeah, it would mess with me. Even, if I'm a white person, I wouldn't even want to eat the chicken there, right? That's what you don't like niggers anyway. You got convicts in here. Get away from around my taters, man. Like, what? No. Unless you just here to, mop the floor or something. Like, no. Nope. You can't be on fries, chicken, biscuits, nothing. Go sweep the parking lot. Different way of thinking about it, different values around food, I guess. The last report that we heard in New York City, former New York City Police Chief Jeffrey Maddrey, privileged black male, they are investigating and searching his residence, accused of abusing his position of power. You have to perform sexual favors for me in order to approve hours on the job. Heard this before, McDonald's and rampant. That's why I said it's mandatory. You're going to produce offspring that will be classified as non-white. System of white supremacy, racism. It is mandatory. You have to talk to them about racism, white supremacy, and really as soon as possible, as often as possible, and as accurately as possible. Same thing for sexual abuse. It is so widespread. You hadn't, even for propositions like that, because it might be they don't touch you per se, although there's lots of that too. But it might not be all that, patting and feeling and such. It might be well, look here, Lakeisha, if you want, the extra overtime this week, or we're cutting hours of staff, and so I know you have been getting about 42 hours a week. We probably have to drop that down until 32, unless, in fact, even what we heard from the young lady, she said that they were looking at getting a raise for her, or they were going to drop her salary back, because they said, oh no, you can't get the raise because you kind of same thing that the people said at the mosquito board. Hey, they capped us out on the salary. You already got a raise and all the rest of it, so yeah, we have to put you back. If you're not going to take the other position, we have to put you back at your other salary, unless you want to meet up after work and maybe we can do something strange for some change. After he's leaving notes on the car and such. So even that, you can't be stunned, surprised, even if it happens to you if you're a male, from another male. You can't be surprised. I can't, nope, that. Oh yeah, Mom has been telling me about this. Dad has been telling me about this. Gus T has been talking about this and playing reports about this for years. I knew this might happen. Dare I even say, I knew this day would come. You already have your strategies about how you want to say that again, please, sir, ma'am. Whip out that phone and get to transcribing. What did you say? Meet after work. Strange for some change? Is that what you said? Make sure I write that correctly. Strange for some change. And then you can figure out who you need to talk to about that, ask questions. Is this a part of policy and procedure? Strange for some change? Is that official company policy with regards to promotions, raises? Still get to be in the question lane, but you already got your responses because you know this is rampant. It is not lost on me at all. Jeffrey Maddrey is a privileged black male. You get on that job, said it all the time. I think Bay Area Mom has talked about different people on the job looking at them, that one, she's cute over there. And some of the females like, oh, that guy down there, Leroy, oh, he sure is handsome. Like them britches too. Woo. Man, it is 2025. Nigh on 2040. I can say it that way because we got so far into the future. Nigh on 2040 in the workplace. That is absurd. Why did you get this job? Did you get this job so that you can go and have sexual intercourse with your coworkers? Did you get this job to make as much money as possible? If it's the latter, hey, ain't no flirting and hey, let's go hang out. None of that. None of that. None of that. We not even doing no, she willing, I'm willing, voluntary hanky-panky, as they say on the workplace, because there have been lots of examples where something started off, this was all consensual and having a good time, and then at some point, now there's conflict. Now this is erupting in the workplace. There's been tons of examples. I mean, you got tons of examples of people, they didn't even meet on the job, nor did they ever work together. They're just engaged in sexual activity, and it ends up disrupting the workplace, sometimes even having conflict on the job, where we argued at home or wherever, and I got to come on the job now and cause a scene. That sort of thing has happened. Or I got to talk about this at work. So if you've seen where the bedroom activity can be that disruptive to the job, imagine now I work with this person. Other people are aware of that, and all the rest. Just, you're asking for trouble. I mean, you are asking for trouble, including exactly what's going on with Jeffrey Maddrey. That's not even getting into now. Whoa, did you actually do this? He's just accused. Supposed to be presumed innocent, privileged black dude. But I mean, hey, that's not even getting to you actually are engaged in some nefarious petting and sexual misbehavior on the job. Like, oh man, they might have video cameras and all of that now, recordings, everything. Talk to people, talk to folks about that as well on the job. We're just here to be professional, well-behaved, and to make as much money as possible. Do all my flirting off the clock. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. See, folks have thoughts, observations again. Now, do you get a bonus from your job? I know I would think people that are teachers, because I don't think they get no $5,000 or $50 bonus right at the end of the winter break. I could be wrong, but I don't think that is the case. I think that tends to be more of a private. Maybe the folks who work at private schools, Stanford, maybe they get a holiday bonus of some sort. But I don't think public school teachers in the U.S., I don't think they get no, stocking of, $200 or $100 and hang in there, get a cognac on us over the holiday break. I don't think that happens, but you can let us know. Do we have any Negro non-white listeners? Do you get a holiday bonus? And it's financial, like I said, not like a gift card to Target or something like that. I guess you can let us know if you get that, but that's not really, that's not what I'm talking about. Cash bonus. Do you get a cash bonus at the end of the calendar year? Let us know. Folks who dialed in with a hand up, hopefully we have lots of folks who got enormous, obese bonuses for the end of the year. They're sitting around figuring out what they're going to do, invest in cryptocurrency, scholarship for the children, going on a cruise, strip club, all of the above. Hopefully that is the case. Let's see. Folks who dialed in with a hand up, proceed.
Can I be heard?
Bay Area mommy, I'm not putting business out in the street, but I don't think public school teachers get year-end bonuses. Is that true?
So true. So true. No, I don't get any bonus. The closest that I get is, they give you gifts. So I've always, especially being in the district, I've always get gifts. But it's not necessarily from the school. They'll give us stuff, little stuff, collective stuff. We appreciate you. But the parents, I always get stuff from the parents. So I still get stuff from the parents. And I'm not even at their school. So the parents always give me something. Not money. I'll get a gift card. Like the max gift card I got was $40. So those are my little extras. And you get a slew of cards. I got a slew of these cards from all kinds of everybody, but the kids basically are the ones that give the cards, so that's why I keep them. No, have I ever gotten a bonus? Yes, I worked because in my time of living, I worked at. I've had a startup, so those are always lovely for extra. And has it been $100? I have gotten $100 bonuses. Even because I worked like 11, 10. And like I said, startups, that kind of thing. So it's a different world, and it's not a lot of melanin in these spaces. So, yeah. Anyway, workplace racism. Oh, there's the clip. Okay, I forgot. Okay, workplace racism. So, I worked this week. I worked last week. I worked Saturday. I did my respite. I'm going to go back tomorrow. I'm going to think about going the week after, but I'm going tomorrow. And then it starts back to business as usual for me come Monday. So on Monday we have, they call it professional development. And there will be no kids there. Our children come on Tuesday. So I don't have to be there as early, but I don't like professional development because it's so intrusive. It's all of us. They want to know all everything you do. And then we have these circles, these huddles. They're called morning huddles. So we huddle in the beginning at the professional development, and we huddle in the end. And then they ask you all these questions. So what was the highlight of your day? What stuck out to you the most? What did you eat? How was your holiday? One thing from your week that you enjoyed? One thing. It's just it's so annoying for me. That's my least favorite part of the job. So I have to look forward to that. And then we have a lot of Zoom. Everybody's in a different Zoom or something. We go to different areas or try to find a space that we can do these Zooms with all of us, because this school is in a lot of different spaces. We're all on these Zooms. Even if school's in session, they still have these Zooms. So that'll be my joy, and I guess at some point we'll talk about these children. The one that's not verbal or not as verbal, it's more echoic, and the other one in that room. And what's next? What's the plan? Oh, ABA? Oh dear, you got to pay me. The parents aren't doing ABA. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, because I'm waiting. And it doesn't bother me either way, because every day's my last day, and I just do the best that I can while I'm there each day. So the past 2 days, I've been at, because I'm a substitute custodian. So I went on the portal while I was at work on Saturday, and I just looked and I saw there was an opening. Not like that. It was a slew of different openings, but I saw one at the school that I really prefer, and the person that was taken off was a head custodian that I prefer. So, and it's my favorite, 6 to 2. Ooh, I love 6 to 2. So I texted and I said, hey, what do? I have to be a head custodian in order to take your stuff? He's like, no, and everything's basically done. You just got to get the key. I was like, okay, I'm going to take it, and I'll ask somebody to bring me the key. So I took it, he said it wasn't nothing really to do, just outside. So I was like, okay, cool. So I go yesterday. And so it's different. Taking the head custodian position to me is different than taking just a regular custodian's shift. Just to me. So I just wanted, I was looking for the list, what to do, and there was nothing. So I was like, okay. And he did say it was just outside. It was nothing really to do. So something told me, check these rooms right here. So it's this one person. There was a lot of openings, like I said. Another person at that school was taken off as well. They also, the person that was there with me was supposed to take off. They said, no, you can take off. You should take off. And she was like, no, I don't want to use my time, and I could make the money. So I guess it would have just been substitutes in there. I don't know. But I checked the rooms, just 3 rooms in the hall that I was in as I'm cleaning the head custodian's office. And I checked the rooms. Man, those rooms haven't been cleaned since the last day of school. The garbage is from the Christmas parties that they had on the last day of school. It's January. And you could smell it. And one of the sinks backed up. It's like you could smell it. It smelled like turtle water. It's like, So this other, the other custodian that was there with me, she works, her normal is, she's, I guess, maybe 1 to 9 or something like that. That's her normal, but when nobody's there, you could do a 6 to 2. So that's what she did. So I was like, hey, how you doing? Da, da, da. So she's looking in there. She's, oh, these rooms are dirty. It's a mess, too. It's like they just left, like, oh, see you later. Kids left after they had this wild party. The floors a mess. It was a mess. So she said, oh, okay. I'm going to close the door. You should, don't even worry about this. I said, what? I don't even worry about it. I wouldn't even worry. Those are such and such rooms, and she won't be back till Monday. I said, actually, she won't be back till Tuesday because she requested 3 days. She's like, no, she said, I'll see you on Monday. I was like, I don't care what she said. She won't be back till Tuesday because I checked the portal, and she had 3 days. So she's, oh, okay. And I said, school starts on Monday here. Well, that's going to be on me. That's going to be, I said, but I can't, I'm here for 8 hours. It's not a big deal. No, I wouldn't touch it. Don't worry about none of that. I said, these are all the other ladies' rooms, right? I said, she had these and all the portables, right? And she's like, yeah, but this should have been done. He should have took it out. He should, all this stuff. But it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter because I'm there and I'm taking his shift. So regardless, let's say, for instance, I don't do any of the stuff. When those people come to their classroom and they look like how they left, they're going to complain to the person that I took shift or the principal. And it still goes back to the person who I took his shift for 2 days. So while I'm there for 2 days, I'm going to do what I think he would do in this situation, which is get it together before these teachers come on Monday. So I took out all that trash from the Christmas party, and it was almost trash. So I took out all the trash. I did the front. I did it yesterday because it rained today. So I did the front of the school, all the leaves. My first time ever using the little weed blowers. Like, ooh. So, I have a pet peeve with the weed blower because I don't like that you don't pick it up. So I picked it up. I picked up all my little weed, all the stuff I blew. I picked it up. I did the same for the inside, and it's real big in the inside to me, and it's a lot of grass. So I picked up everything. I did all the side. I did all that junk, and I didn't check the classrooms until I think today, this morning, the other classrooms were portable. I just checked the ones that was in the inside. And I cleaned, I vacuumed, I did all this junk. Man, I checked them other 8 classrooms. No, they all had Christmas party too. Nothing's a vacuum. It's a hot mess. Was that a metaphor? It is filthy. And so I was like, I don't worry about it. I'm like, what you mean? I said, look, I got to look at it like this. I'm also in the classroom, and I'm looking for a reason to complain about the custodian. I'm looking to see what y'all did with these 2 weeks when ain't nobody been here. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking. I said, so there's no way in the world. And that's on such and such, the head custodian. I said, and I'm taking his shift. I am here to replace the head custodian for 2 days because he's not here. So that's my job. He should have done it. Whoever had 2 weeks ago, there was a Christmas party. This person just asked for January off. Y'all had all the end of December to dump these trashes, whoever this belonged to. Y'all had all that. So I'm not bothering you. If you want to help, you're welcome to help. If you need some help, I'll help you too. But there's no way in the world I'm going to have these teachers coming back here and these classrooms look how it did when they left, period. So now she's feeling away. So I hit the classrooms, and then I start in the morning. It was dark, though. But as soon as the light, we got a little light, she went with me to go look at the other rooms. And so then later on, I carved out some time so I could just hit the room. So she's like, okay, I'll go with you. I'll be there in a minute. I'm like, okay, cool. You can go. So the floors were filthy. So I just, oh, my God. You don't have time to mop. You don't have time to do this. You don't have time to do this. So I just vacuumed, swept, and then she went to go do something else, and she took my bucket with my cleaning solution. So I got some Lysol wipes, and I just started scrubbing the floor just to get so it didn't look so filthy. And I just went back. I backtracked to all the rooms. She told me no. I just went. And I started wiping off the tables and wiping off the dust and just wiping it down and getting the spider webs out of the windows. And I was watching the time because I know what time it is. I'm watching the time. And I have enough time to knock all that out. She's like, oh, I need the vacuum cleaner. I'm like, girl, I've been finishing that vacuum cleaner. Take it. And she's like, it's almost time to go. I was like, I know, but I knocked all this out, and I got this. I'm going to take the trash, all the trash, and it's good. And we had time to still sit down and use the bathroom, talk a little bit, and still get out of there before 2. So I said all that to say people are something else, because that didn't make no sense for me to waste 8 hours chilling and it's work to be done, and it reflects the school, and it also reflects the person whose position I'm taking for 2 days. So rude. So I personally, I like this young man. I worked with him in 2 summers. So I really like him, and I worked hard, so hoping that maybe he would be able to get the head custodian job, because he's a nice young man and takes care of his mom. So not like take care of her, but when he bought his house, he included her in it. She's a part of the house, that kind of thing. So I don't have no problem with making sure it looks great come Monday when all these people come back to the new year. And his office is clean and dust-free because he doesn't have time. Thank you for taking my call. I will mute my line.
Much obliged, Bay Area mom. No bonus for ye. She says she gets cards from the children. Tiers. This is levels to this. So you get your $1,000 bonus if you work on the mosquito board. You get a card if you are a teacher. I don't know. You get peanuts, half-eaten bag of peanut M&Ms at the courthouse. They call you a coon if you work as an attempted counter-racist. layers. Working on the mosquito board isn't even the top if you're classified as white. That's just, Any hoodles. The leaf blower, something about that caught my spirit for some reason. And we talked about this before. Z's mommy, she was working at the school at the time. She's moved on to greener pastures, as they say. And she walked in, and the fellow with the leaf blower, he was cleaning. He failed to turn off the leaf blower. He did one better. He turned and gave a full blast. Pow! And she had like debris and such all in her hair, and the children were so outraged, and they went and helped her pick all the debris out of her hair and everything. And I mentioned on the program then, like, leaf blowers, they are one of the most toxic machines that white people have created and have in widespread usage. And generally, the people that they have using the leaf blower are classified as not white, often with no mask. They had a big report in the Washington Post about how bad leaf blowers are, and in a variety of different ways, like the gas-powered leaf blowers, the exhaust is horrendous, like really bad. It's worse than like some airplanes, probably way worse than that helicopter that they got in Florida for the mosquito board. And then they blast all these particles, like the article was really detailed, like all of the debris and oil particles, like antifreeze particles from vehicles that runs off onto the ground, dog poo, feces, just whatever you can think of that's on the ground, blasting all of that into the air, so it becomes like dust particles of that everywhere. So now people can breathe all that in, or you can blast it in black people's face and hair. But they were just talking about the many different layers of poison that is leaf blowers. They had, in fact, in Oregon, some areas are looking to ban the use of gas-powered leaf blowers sometime in the next, it's 2020, but they're looking to ban them before we even get to 2030. They had a report, this is Linfield Review, a college in Oregon. Leaf blowers are harming students both academically and physically. It says leaf blowers are demonic. I'm not even getting into all the details of that, but wow. Linfield College, I can only say, again, this university is in the state of Oregon, where it apparently a group of white people are looking to ban, like the same way that they banned niggers in the state of Oregon, still in the state constitution, but they are looking to get rid of leaf blowers. I don't know if it's the whole state or is it a certain, it is the entire city of Portland. That is, wow, that's not even that close. So Portland will ban gas leaf-powered blowers by 2028. Wow. Well, and they don't have very many black people in Portland. So I will get off my soapbox. They do try to stick lots of dark people with those old leaf blowers. I would say at minimum, mask, eye protection. I wouldn't let it idle. I would try to not use it at all. I would show them that report. Like, why they could, Elon Musk and them, they could get some non-gas powered, like, so California, come on. They could have solar powered gas blowers. It's not like it's going to be on all day long. You go out and zoom, 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 get everything cleaned up, and then rack, sun up, be charged, ready to roll. Like, come on. Any hoodles. That's lots of different ways that they provide toxic work environments for black people, non-white people. The leaf blower is one. Let's see, the whole tacky shebang at the end, where she's taken over as head custodian, hopefully getting head custodian nickels for that time. And they're like, hey, let's just chill. Nothing to do. We'll kick our feet up, tell some stories. It'll be cool. She's looking at the rooms like, wait a minute. They got people are coming back, next beginning of the week. School is going to be starting soon and all that. And we still got stale eggnog in here. Christmas party stuff left over. Well, yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking. Who is the head nigger in charge? You. Like, they will find some way, and especially if anybody got the notion, well, that nigger woman was here on Friday and she just had her feet up and was talking silly and asked me about everything I watched on Netflix and I saw her on the phone texting. She could have cleaned up while she was playing on the phone. That's exactly the way that they'll present it. You know, if they see you out loud, well, they said that it was nothing to do. Well, you should have checked. You're head custodian. That's what you're supposed to be. You could have went and checked to make sure, took some initiative. That's the way that they'll, frame it. And or what she said, blame the person where she's substituting for them, filling in for those 2 days or whatever it is. Blame them. It was their fault. You should have told her what to do, or you should have been here anyway, or you should have cleaned it up, or whatever it is. Should have cleaned it up way back when, maybe. Either or. Bravo. Taken care of, cleaned up. Bravo. Not wasting time. We were scheduled to be here anyway. I'm striving towards putting things in order. Love it. Universal woman. Love it. I'm going to go ahead and take care of it. And just, dang, like, is it supposed to be? I would think somebody non-white probably would have got in trouble for that. White people come in on Monday, like, do what? This place hasn't been cleaned in, a month? What in the world? What have you all been doing? That's the way it would have been. Somebody would have got in, like, major trouble, I suspect. Probably some non-white people. And she got cards, no less. Any hoodles. Much obliged, Bay Area mom. Hopefully not too much time with the leaf blower moving forward. Or maybe they'll get, like I said, a solar leaf blower. And then still she won't have to be on it too much. She wants to do leaf blowing. Much obliged, Bay Area mom. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up, if you have commentary to share, proceed.
May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Gus, for taking my call, and greetings to all the COWS listeners and callers. It is 2025. I want to start off by talking about the incarcerated clip from Alabama. I thought it was interesting how they were releasing these workers to work in the public, but I believe one of the individuals, they found that he was still a threat to the public, so he wouldn't be able to be released early. And I thought that was very interesting, how you can get him to have all this labor, and yet he's not being paid adequately or even benefiting from it with the different medical and other benefits you should receive. The other clip from, I believe, Ohio, about the trade workers, I thought it was interesting, and I think you also brought it up, Gus, that you have in one clip, you have a bunch of people who can work or able-bodied to work, but they're locked up. But in this other clip, they had a lacking in candidates to work these different trade jobs. To me, that seems like that's an easy fix to rectify the situation as well, just like you came to the conclusion. I know it's after the fact, but is it okay to talk about the, I guess, Christmas party that the office that I'm in had, Gus?
Proceed.
Thank you. They had a Christmas party at this new location. I'm new there, so I'm still on probation. So I decided to go ahead and join them. Interesting enough that we are only given 30 minutes for lunch, and this party lasted 3 hours. I thought that was interesting. Oh, yeah, and I think you also brought up, do we receive bonuses from different jobs? As far as I could tell, no. But I did receive a gift card from my supervisor, a white woman. It was for $50 to Macy's, and I believe she could write it off on her taxes. During the party, they had these different games that they played. One of the games was you had to throw a marshmallow at someone, and they had to catch it in the cup. At that time, I received a call. Luckily, I received a call from, I believe, a telemarketer. So I went outside to take that call. Luckily, it lasted about 45 minutes. In my office, I'm working with a group of 14, and I'm the only black person in that office. I was also asked to participate in their White Elephant event. I happily declined to participate, citing that currently my finances are not in a position where I can, have frivolous spending. And the white woman who asked me said, okay, fine. I will note also at this Christmas party, they had those elves, I guess elf on the shelf, those little gnomes or whatever, and that gnome was staring directly at me, and I could have swore it was carrying a noose as well. I'm working with a bunch of white people. One of them is this white male. He seems to be obsessed with buying tennis shoes all the time. And he was telling me at the Christmas party that he buys a new pair of shoes every week. Jordans, preferably. I think I'm going to name this person Sneakerhead. This person is from Seattle originally, and he went to the University of Washington. And so, and I did this, and I don't recommend this though, but I asked him about some of the alumni that went there. He brought up someone else's name, and then I said, okay. And I brought up Ted Bundy. And he was like, oh, yeah, he went there too. I think he was a little surprised, though, because he said, most people don't know that, and, would say that. So, so that was a Christmas party. And that is all I have for now, Gus, and thanks for taking my call.
Woo, man, I'm hurt. Would your decision have been different if you were not on probation with regards to the Christmas shindig?
I'm going to repeat your question, sir. So you're saying what would I have done differently if not on probation?
Yes.
What I've done differently if I was not on probation? I would have probably used to participate in the entire party. Because there was another coworker who's been there for a while who did not participate at all. She just sat at her desk and continued to do her work. This was a non-white, non-black female.
Awesome. Thank you. Seniority. And I appreciate the detail or context, I will say, because we've heard that before. Especially non-white people first hired and all. Many non-white people said they don't feel secure enough. They just started. They're on probation, niggardly, treated niggardly, victims of white supremacy. I think I'm going to have to go to the Christmas party, which I try to include that, frequently. You might have to go. And even for that, you just codify how long you're going to be there. That is, was the Christmas shindig, was it like a paid affair? Was this something where you were on the clock? Because you said it was 3 hours. You all only get like 30 minutes for lunch. Was this an on-the-clock thing to come and shindig for all that time?
Yes, sir. It was in the office in one of the break rooms. This office has very few non-white black people. So there was a bunch of space and a bunch of other parties that were taking place. And throughout the course, I guess I had this context, throughout the course of December, they were having different events like quote unquote the ugly sweater or Christmas sweater contest, the most, I guess, decorated, cubicle, different things like that. They had a quote unquote Christmas cookie day where you bring in cookies you cooked. Just had a bunch of different events going on during the month of December at this office.
Mike Swango, see there? I got my special oatmeal raisin cookies just for you, black brother. I'm good. I'm good. Come on, and I'm good on all of that. Like I said it before, like, come on now, how much time am I supposed to waste to do the best decorated cubicle? Come on. I'm going to stay after work and I'm putting tinsel up and gnomes and all. Like, come on. I came to make as much money as possible, not side projects, and now we're painting the walls, and now I got to come take all that down too. Come on, man. Come on. I've seen that too, people on the job where they sent people to travel the city to get a Christmas tree. Like, come on. I did not. If you're getting paid for that, maybe. I would rather go. I can ride around. We can listen to the radio. we can start. I got a little bit of shopping that I can pick up a few errands, stop by the post office, grab a tree on the way. Like, yes, I will take that if it's on the clock over hanging out at the desk and doing whatever, I don't know, whatever the job, making chicken tenders if you work at Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever. He did say it was on the clock, though, so that's, hey, he scored. He said he got a phone call. I'm going to go out here and talk to this telemarketer. What is you selling now? Insurance? Let's hear it. Give me the detail. Break it down. Tell me. Go ahead. Take your time. Go ahead. He said, I'm on the phone and I'm on the clock. And I'm finished this phone call up. It's emergency. I'm gonna take care of it real quick. I'll be right back. They interrupted me. Go ahead and start over, brother. One more time. Let's do it. I love it. And you see now, we've heard this a few times too. They will come around and look here, black brother. We got Secret Santa, and he said the ugly sweater and all that other nonsense. But we got Secret Santa, and it'll be great. You can sign up. We got a lot of people left. You can get somebody. You'll get a gift and all the rest of it. Hey, I'm hurting. I mean, wow. This year, put it on me. I hope new president can do something with the economy, what have you, because I am struggling. Barely got 2 nickels to rub. You got a dollar I can hold on to? And she said, fine. I love it. And that's the truth. Even if you have $1 billion, that is true. If you are a victim of white supremacy, because white people could take it tomorrow, you could be fired out on the corner, rubbing nickels. That George Floyd, forget rubbing nickels, he could be dead. Diddy, all of it. So it is true. Like, I am hurting. I wouldn't feel bad about it at all. I'm really struggling, and I just can't afford it. And I would say that for anything. If they came for White Elephant, when they had the old somebody's retiring, leaving, whatever, going back to school, whatever, any of that, and they say, oh, we're going to chip in, and, Bonnie's leaving, we're going to get her a gym membership. I'm hurting. I can't even afford a gym membership myself. Never be afraid to say that if you are a victim of white supremacy, again, because it's true. I wouldn't care how many zeros you got in your bank account, behind a number, of course, How many apostrophes? There we go. Not apostrophes, commas. See there, broke Negro. How many commas you got in your bank account? Doesn't matter. Love it. It wasn't a whole lot of argument. You got money. I've seen you come in here flash. She didn't do none of that. Fine. Broke niggers, man. No problem. And I wouldn't have a problem with that. Me having a reputation. Oh, broke nigger didn't even want to invest in that. Yes. You all remember me when it's time for a raise, promotion, anything. Yes. Remember your black brother, because I'm hurting. Because it's true. Love it. He said the gnomes were looking at him. He had a party. They got Klan gnomes everywhere to haunt the black people, I reckon. Man. Whew, much obliged, sir. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up, *61. If you have commentary to share, let us know. Did you get a bonus? White people hooked you up.
May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Greetings, Gus. Greetings, callers and listeners. Start off with the first segment, the Cincinnati, Ohio segment with the college trading schools. I think is really important. I think those skill sets that people learn from manufacturing are really kind of building a stable community. I think the tough part about the crafts, from carpentry, electrical, and plumbing, is that you don't really have the, I guess you could say, allure of somebody working, with a suit, briefcase, and 9 to 5, and working behind a computer. I think there's something else that seems to be more alluring in that department. Despite the fact you may earn more with a wrench than sitting at, in front of a desk, in front of a computer sometimes, depending on what field you're in. And I say this because it struck a chord last week. I walked into a Black-owned restaurant that recently opened in the neighborhood. They talked to me quite extensively, I should say, about racism, white supremacy, mainly speaking about AKA gentrification, ethnic cleansing of the neighborhood. But they spoke to me about the fact that they removed all the trade skills, and these were elders, might I add, just to preface. They were definitely around in the neighborhood long before I was. And they said that during their time, they removed all the trade skill sets from high schools in New York City. And right after they did that, around the same time, crack and cocaine hit the streets. They said, there were a couple of things they started noticing, how the neighborhood started deteriorating and such forth. And now, obviously, there's just a rebuilding of the neighborhood, so to speak. And some of the skill sets that could have actually helped the neighborhood out, they think back to that time frame and how important it was, and how now, you'd be pressed to find a Black plumber. They're there, but you really have to kind of search them out to find them, as well as electrical workers and such forth. So yeah, I think that segment really hit it on the head. As for a bonus, I used to get a bonus working for a private company, for profit, obviously. It was a decent bonus. I used it quite well to do certain things that were needed for the household, but didn't really go that far. Let's just say they're not really giving people on my level that much, just some crumbs. Now I do not, because I work for a non-for-profit, so it's off the table, unfortunately. The next segment I wanted to touch on was that the NYPD scandal, Jeffrey Maddrey. Most people in New York City or the metropolitan area know that NYPD is extremely corrupt. It's not even a shadow of a doubt. Most police departments are corrupt, I think, globally, in my opinion. My first thought, though, was not to really point any fingers at anybody, but I asked myself, if the 2 Black people are in trouble for this, and this is turning into a big scandal, what have the white police officers been doing for decades? I mean, if not centuries, if you really want to get into it. Because it's not really that, it's very recent that there are more Black police officers. It's not like a old thing. It's a new phenomenon. So I can only imagine what they've been doing for that amount of time. So I do think that's a tough situation, a horrible one for both parties, but we'll see how that transpires throughout the rest of the investigation. One thing I was wondering about was the discussion that seems to be going on with the so-called Republican Party. And this is in regards to discrepancies between them, mainly from the Musk side, the tech billionaire boys, and from the other side of the Republican Party that's more, I guess you could say, more right-wing, where they're arguing about immigrants coming into the country, while Musk and all the other tech boys are saying the people in America are not smart enough to do the work, so they have to get immigrants, while the other side is saying, no, we don't want immigrants at all. But the thing is, the Republican Party has been consistent with their racism, white supremacy, just like the Democratic Party, and they both have removed skill sets, again, like we said, from high schools, from colleges, and has made it even more difficult for people that are living in America to actually even go to school. So it just baffles me how this is coming back around in a circle, but now there's this strange internal fighting going on. But I wonder if anybody ever touched on that as well as yourself, or if you've heard it in the segment already. That's it. I will mute my line. Thank you.
No bonus currently. Much obliged, sir. So he did get a bonus previously, but it was not obese. Octavius in New York, the non-obese bonus. Better than nothing at all, I guess. With the sex abuse, I mean, certainly that is, they even included Mayor Eric Adams in the report that we heard about. Former NYPD Jeffrey Maddrey, black male, privileged. Mayor Adams was in that report and absolutely facing similar allegations, sexual misconduct, which he has denied. But again, race soldiers are, you cannot be classified as black and think that in a workplace setting you can do the same thing as people that are classified as white in terms of stealing paper clips or anything else, sexual misconduct, any of that. It's just not going to work. Ray Nagin, lots of examples. It's just not going to, the rules are not enforced the same way at all. So if anything, with regards to a workplace, that's why you have to talk to your offspring, just because it absolutely, I suspect many people are of the opinion NYPD has been corrupt for a very, very long time. That's it. If I am a non-white person and I work for the NYPD, I cannot conduct myself. One, you should be about justice. Now, again, he's presumed, Mr. Maddrey, presumed innocent, but you should be about justice, not mistreating people. That's one. Make sure your behavior is correct. Two, I cannot behave. I see, people classified as white. They're shaking people down for money, shaking people down for sexual favors, shaking down other coworkers for hours and sexual favors or whatever it is. Man, shouldn't be doing that. One, going back to the first thing, top priority, correct intentions. And then, man, there is no way I'm going to get the same treatment, or what they said about old Swango, blind-eyed. They're not going to do that for me if I'm classified as black. That's just not going to happen. I'm going to end up, in the joint in Alabama, working at the KFC like my black brother, can't even get parole. That's what's going to happen to me. At minimum, it's going to be a long, sloppy public trial. Make me look bad? No way. No way. I'm going to be on my best behavior in the workplace. Best behavior. All eyes on me. That's what you got to think all the time. Any hoodles. Yes, now we had at least two people who have pointed that out. It would be very easy for white people to set up a structure, even for both ways, right? So we need different trades. We need manufacturers and lots of other skilled trade positions, plumbers, electricians, blah, 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 long line. Okay. As opposed to pipelining Leroy to that, we pipeline Leroy into manufacturing. It would be the same thing Elon Musk and folks in Silicon Valley. Hey, we need what I just said. We need those solar weed or leaf blowers. Leroy, we can begin pipelining Leroy, Devontae, Mendocino County right there. We could begin pipelining them into that. We come up with every other solution. We can boat in some dark people, not too dark. We can boat in some dark people from someplace else, maybe even some white people from someplace else. Let's do that. Get the robots. Let's do that. Come up with every goofy solution except, hey, maybe we could stop wasting generations of black people and stuffing them in prisons, and then we bring them back out to a low-wage job, low-skill job at McDonald's, and the bots are going to take those jobs. Even the bots will be doing the fried chicken soon. As opposed to that, hey, maybe we could stop that whole going to prison to begin with. You get a cool job, a trade even. Maybe we don't want you in Silicon Valley. Too much ambition. At least we can get you the trade job, right? Man. You gonna add, sir?
Oh no, I didn't have anything else to add there. Just I do see a push towards those skill sets even here, and I just don't know how much support they're going to get or financing they're going to get from any government sponsored funding or anything like that. I just don't see it happening. That's one of the things that I think when I hear about those jobs and trades, it's just, and again, the interest, people look down on them for some strange reason, and I have no idea why. I mean, but conditioning, let's just say that. But that's what I see with those fields, unfortunately. That being said, I'll mute my line.
Much obliged, sir. They did mention that in the report, people thinking that the jobs are not glamorous and they're dirty and grimy and all that, and they said that's part of the work that they're doing now so that they can change that perception that it's almost 2040. You got a computer for some of these jobs and that sort of thing, like you're sitting with a computer or a tablet, like, catch up. It's not out grimy and oil and dust and all that. Like, that's for a lot of these jobs, that is not the case at all. And then people just not being informed. Now, I will say he talked about government funding. That didn't seem to be the case for the segment that we heard in Ohio, Cincinnati specifically. It did seem like there was some sort of federal investment in this community college program to get more young people trained with these skills. Now, I'd be curious to see what are the demographics of where this is. And like I said, that was an audio report, so I didn't really get to see any of the folks, what they look like. Are they classified as white, all that. We're taking advantage of this program up in Cincinnati. But it would be, I would think, not too difficult, especially all the talk that they've had about investing in community colleges over the past decade or so. That wouldn't be too difficult. You could even, some of that stuff you could get into the high school. Some of that stuff I think may have been in high schools to a degree at earlier times, but some of that could even be in high school. Really, if we're serious about a pipeline, you can pipeline from kindergarten to prison. You could pipeline from high school to trade job. Having manufacturers, people who can do some of the exact skills that they were talking about in that report in Ohio that, people need right now, plumbing and all the rest of it. Anyway, that's another one. Lower number of white children. That also I would see, since they're going to have more and more schools that are mostly non-white. That also I would see being an obstacle to, we don't really want to invest in school. I mean, you already have been seeing that. We don't even really want to invest in schools too much. Have, one teacher for 50 students, much less put in a trade program. Let's see. The email, untiljustice@gmail.com. Untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564. 943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Let's see, you can let us know about the bonus situation as well. See, we'll nab our other folks who dialed in. I will share quickly. I've been saying the whole time, if folks, hopefully we had lots of folks who didn't have to work for a few days in there at all, since we had New Year's this week, so-called, and holidays, Christmas, Kwanzaa, all that other nonsense over the past 10 days. Hush. Hopefully some folks had time off, and I've said you can maybe use that time to cook constructive victuals and all the rest. Gus T loves veggie sushi, have loved sushi all my life, but veggie sushi, finally got around to making tempura sweet potato sushi. I was a little incredulous because I just would not in my brain computer. I love sweet potato, but anytime it's added to like an odd dish, like I had sweet potato in lasagna recently, and I had the same doubt, and it ended up being amazing. Sweet potato in sweet potato, tempura sweet potato in sushi. Crispness, sweet. Now, I guess it would depend on, the type of sweet potatoes that you get, but wow, surprisingly yum. I love sushi anyway, but wow, really, really good. Always in a happy spot when I get sushi. Eat healthy, yummy veggies, fruits, veggies, sweet potatoes. They're in season. I love sweet potatoes. Love sweet potatoes. Alrighty. Other folks who... Oh, wait a minute. Before we nab non-Clemson grad, 00 Dimples, shadow of a doubt metaphor was used, I believe, by Octavius in New York. I do say no metaphors. I do ask that. And one of the reasons is that I've said these phrases, they tend to support the values of white supremacy racism and shadow of a doubt. Mr. Fuller has that phrase in the Word Guide. Do not use this phrase really. Instead, use the word doubt. Reason: it is not necessary to associate the word doubt with the word shadow. A shadow is dark. White supremacists often deliberately, love that D word, use any word that is generally associated with darkness in a manner that helps to promote thoughts of uncertainty, ugliness, unpleasantness, evil, foreboding, danger, etc. This includes the use of the term enlightened, a term that white supremacists, racists, indirectly associate with ways and means of thinking against doubtful shadows and or people who are dark in appearance. Doubt is doubt, and a shadow is a shadow. Though a shadow is dark, there is no logical reason to associate the word shadow with the word doubt, or the word doubt with the word dark. Example: according to white supremacist racist culture, the expression "I'm in the dark" about what happened means I do not know and or I have a doubt. Page 361 of the Word Guide, Neely Fuller Jr., ProduceJustice.com. Most of those metaphors support the system of white supremacy racism. No doubt. Let's see. Non-Clemson grad, 00 Dimples, Mama C, with us as well.
Hello, all. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good evening to everyone. Right now, my wife is working, and the baby has fallen asleep on my chest as she's had her dinner, so I guess she's on chill mode right now. But anyway, a couple of things to say. I have never worked a job in which I've gotten a bonus. The only form of bonus I've ever gotten is the money I've saved to go do something if I needed or wanted to. That's it. That story about the New York City police chief, as far as I know, because I was born and raised in New York City Police Department has always been corrupt. When I think about the New York City Police Department, I personally think back, I think almost 20 years ago, when I was on one of my college breaks visiting home, getting stopped and frisked in a course of 10 minutes on the block that I lived on. In any case, when I hear about the chief's particular situation with the subordinate, I'm not sure if I outright see it as an abuse of power, though it doesn't mean he himself is not corrupt. I think it was a quid pro quo, even though the subordinate levied a EEOC report against him. As far as I know, she used the overtime pay to help pay off her house, unless I'm misinformed about the specifics of that case. Maybe there's other ones that I'm unaware of. But both of them were inappropriate. But the chief, as a black male, clearly has more to lose. And now instead of talking about what she might have been doing with the money, we're now talking about this black male because, of course, he is privileged. That Alabama situation with the workers been able to leave prison and go to work and even go home, to me it just seems like Alabama is practicing neo-slavery. The more things change, the more things seem to stay the same. And there's something interesting happened in my office this week. The office lights are off. About a year ago, I talked about a situation where someone, we moved into a new building about over a year ago now. And what happened was when we first moved into the building, it was basically a glass structure, or at least exterior, which means there's an excessive amount of light getting into the building, along with the lights that are inside the building. And because of where we're located in the building, some of us wanted to turn the lights off, including myself. So at some point, including myself, I did this as well too, along with other people in the other departments, we went through a back and forth of turning on and off the light switch. Only one person, as far as I knew, in the entire department even wanted the light on. And I'm talking about a total of about, let's say, 10 to 12 people on that side of the building where our cubicles sit against the windows. Eventually the one person who wanted the lights on, she went to her manager, I believe, and then her manager went to my manager, then my manager sent me an email about making sure to keep the lights on and never to touch them. And so I stopped touching them. Nevertheless, interestingly enough, that email didn't reach the other people in a different department, a completely third manager for that department, and they kept turning the light switch off. At that point, I just ended up leaving the office while they figured that stuff out. But after a while, the lights were turned on, and I remember one of the tacky reasons was, hey, we got to keep the lights on because the security cameras in the building work better that way. So fast forward to this week, still a couple of people are away for Christmas and New Year's vacation, so they'll be back next week. But for whatever reason, someone decided to turn the lights off again. Now, there are a couple of new people, as some people have departed for other jobs elsewhere. And this time, when that light went off, it did not go back on. And the person who wanted the lights on from a year ago, I'm not sure if she said anything about it. Most of the one manager is gone as they retired to a different position or a different company or the government agency. My manager he's not on vacation. He was out sick today, so he hasn't been in the office all week because of New Year's. And then also the director was in the office. I did see this woman in the director's office, and I'm assuming, I don't know what the details are because I didn't ask, and at this point I didn't care, that she went in and complained about the light because she was real upset about that more than a year ago. But this time, whatever complaint she might have made, those lights stayed off. And I find it interesting because there was no tacky email that came through about not touching the lights and the efficacy of the security cameras. And I found that to be very interesting. And with that, I'll mute my line.
Well, I guess if we can get a few questions without disturbing Double O Dimple's nap time, are you caping for black males and your cousin Jeffrey Maddrey up in New York? I mean, if they got policies that you're not supposed to be soliciting sexual favors from subordinates in the workplace, that's not quid pro quo. If you can control my hours or schedule or anything about my working hours, even if we all got bills, mortgage and car payments, insurance and all the rest of it, like, dang, you can't be taking advantage of me just because of your black male privilege, right? If they got rules against that, right?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I personally do not think I am caping for black males, but it's perfectly fine for people to think that I am based on what I said. But based on some of the particulars of the case, I find it interesting, for example, the amount of time that the person who's accusing him of doing anything appropriate got over $200,000 of extra overtime pay in a single year. That overtime pay brought her into a salary income that was the highest for the entire department, even higher than the chief himself. So that in itself leads me to believe that even though there might have been some inappropriateness, well, clearly there was some inappropriateness because I think both of them ended up losing their jobs or at least getting suspended. Clearly, the person who is accusing him benefited somehow. And I think what happened was when everyone started looking at those financial records, she basically threw him underneath the bus. Now, this is not to say what he did was appropriate. I'm like, as a black male, you should not work that hard to get to that high position just to throw it all away for some sex. But unfortunately, some dudes do that. I'm just looking at the facts of the case, and I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, he was stupid, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like she wasn't complicit in the situation as well, too, is what I'm saying.
I see. Okay. Is it reasonable with the workplace situation with the lights? Is it reasonable that there might not have been an angry email this time because you just told us you got so many presumably white people? They are still out. They are partying hard, ringing in the new year. And since you have so many absentees, hey, we can keep the lights out because we won't really be back full staff until next week. So it's not as big a deal, even for the cameras, because it's not as many people to keep an eye on.
Reasonable question, but I will tell you that there are certain details that are slightly different. So, for example, the one person in the apartment, she works we're not in the same department, even though we all sit next to each other. The person who was her manager at the time has since moved on from his position to a different government agency in an adjacent county. So there was no immediate manager to complain to other than the director. Also, she was best friends with her manager. Before he became manager, they always hung out together. This was a white female and a white male, though the white male himself was gay. As far as I know, I believe he was married. And then also the people who were constantly turning off the lights was a third department right next, if I'm in the middle, the woman's on the far side on the right and the other department's on the left of me, and we're all adjacent to the window linearly. And everyone in that department to the left of me, everyone was in the office. No one was on vacation, other than maybe one person being out of the office because they were work from home. Other than that, everyone else was there. So there was at least a significant amount of people in the office to be affected by the lights being turned off. The only significant difference from when this whole situation happened over a year ago was that woman who wants the lights on, her manager / best friend is no longer in his position, still the same director, and my manager was out sick today. And I personally don't think he would have said anything to me because, one, personally, I didn't touch the light. No one saw me touch the light, and I knew not to touch the light from the previous year. Two, that manager would have had no reason to come to him because he's no longer there. So I'm forced to believe that it just didn't play out in our favor this time. And no bullcrap email is going to come about. Potential security cameras. But you know what? Obviously, most people, if not all people, will be back in the office next week after all the vacationing. Maybe it'll be changed. I guess we'll see.
Monday. I think you did say it could have been some new employees, so maybe these new hires didn't get the memo, maybe, and all that. Even still, though, he said, where's the rootin' tootin' and you gotta get these folks up to speed, whereas that didn't seem like all that happened this time around.
Well, I will add one more thing to it. 2 out of 5 of the employees in the department to my left are new, right? One of those new people was someone who just got out of college recently, so he graduated this past spring. The other one was someone who transferred from a different department, so they already were employed by the county, but they worked a different job that took them outside of the building where they spend most of the days on the road. But now his job has him in the office most of the time. And also, one of the people who was there last year when this whole fiasco happened, he's still there, or that's not the story in itself, but that person is still there, and that person was clearly turning off the light because I saw them do it. So I found it unlikely that the person who was here when it was happening last time didn't at least have a slight conversation with some of the other people in the department, because they all prefer the lights off, just like me. Except this time, I didn't talk to anyone, and I was not participating. Because I remember what happened last year with that crappy email.
I see. Well, we shall see what happens on Monday. And, wow, just touching the lights. To go wild if it's black dude touching the lights. Get that in check immediately. Wow. Black male privilege. He said the security can't. That was the justification given, that we have to have the lights on because we have security cameras in the building. Keep our eye on you. Just joking. Not really. We have the security cameras, and they work better with the lights on. I probably would if they said that, like, oh yes, they mean me. They got to keep an eye on me. Like, got it. That's how all of us, that's how you should be thinking. Jeffrey Maddrey included. That's how you should be thinking. Yes, they have the security cameras on to keep an eye on me. Context.
I will say there is a bit of irony in that, because the part of the building we sit on, the cameras cannot see where we are. So when the lights get off, those aren't affected by the cameras because the cameras don't see around the corner where we sit in the building. And it's a different section. So imagine if there were 3 sides, like a U. We sit on the middle side of the U next to the windows, and the cameras don't see behind there. And that's the portion where the lights go off, which means the other 2 sides of the U still have their lights on where the cameras are.
I see. Well, I don't know. They might have other security devices over there, too, that you don't even know about. Who knows? But
that is possible.
Wow. It doesn't get any better than tacky, even in the holiday season. That's another thing, too, just being observant, because you can see if you work a job long enough, you'll see lots of scenarios like that where it'll be exact same situation. The lights, there's not a whole lot that can happen. Either they're on or they're off. But you'll see the exact same scenario and totally different response. I would always write those down, because this is what is going on here. I touch the lights and it's, Armageddon. They got to call out the troops from the Citadel. White person can go touch the light. Who knows there's light sensitivity issues here. And
All right, got it. And I'll make sure I don't touch the lights. Right on. Won't get at me about that one in the future. Gee whiz. Woo. Much of this privileged black male can't even touch the light switch in the workplace. Uppity. Let's see. The number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. I think I've heard a report similar to that before, where it'll be something that I would think is innocuous, like turning the lights off or on, or whatever it is. Maybe moving a piece of furniture, a fan or something like that, sliding it to a different corner, something, tiny, like something that I would think is tiny, where if a black person is, oh my God, Leroy, don't you touch that fan. Don't you turn that light out. What is wrong with you? Who do you do? I'm going to email your supervisor. That sort of thing. And a white person will come, might even take the fan home. I think I've heard that sort of thing before from some other, again, it's supposed to be, that is a constitutional violation, because it's supposed to be equal protection under the law in terms of how rules are enforced. That's what it's supposed to be, but that is not how it operates at all. I would always record documents. You work a job long enough, you might end up having like racks of those. And it might even be sometimes that you get like with this situation, it may have been that this white fella, he was turning the lights off last year. Nobody said anything. Maybe it's holiday related, whatever. He's turning them off. Nobody says a word. We come around this year, we will say it's holiday related. People not coming in or, whatever. I like the lights off. He turns them off. And now they go berserk. If it happens the other way around, then you could always, man, Rick was turning the lights off, last year, being green or better focus or whatever. Nobody, what's the reasoning? And then they can explain. Or no, do the stumbling and fumbling and whatever. Always document those discrepancies, though. Much obliged, non-Clemson dad. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in, *61. We are running low on bonuses. Seems like we don't really have. See, that's why I said, we heard from the no-count white people. They were getting they said in that report up until 2018, 2019, they were only getting a $100 bonus. It wasn't until the last 2 or 3 years that they started giving themselves these $1,000 bonuses. It's white people, they get $5,000, $10,000, massive sums of money in December. That's why I said some of these people, when they go and they take white people, when they go and they take these ski trips, he said, non-Clemson dad, he just told, he said, you got a number of folks, they won't be back until next week. That's not every white person, but I've seen that for years. It's racks of white people. I'm out. Maybe the whole month of December. I said that. They'll be out the whole month of December or the last 3 weeks of December. It won't be that I'm going to be back on January 2. I'm going to be back on January 7, January 10. Might go to the Sugar Bowl. I don't know. Go skiing. Leave the country. Matter of fact, if I live in New York, I live someplace where it's cold, live in Seattle, I'm going to go to Cancun, get me a tan with my bonus. It's lots of that in the system of white supremacy racism. Oh my God, you can't even imagine. I can't, because I've never got a Christmas bonus or holiday bonus or whatever, but I do know that is wide. Like I said, that the mosquito people, white people mostly, I said I saw 3 people in the board that looked like they'd be classified as non-white, none of them black. They were only getting a $1,000 bonus, and I think their salary was $40,000. You have white people that aren't even CEO bosses that make $90,000, $100,000. What sort of bonus do you think they're getting? Ballin', man. What does it mean to be classified as white? Let's see. Other folks who have commentary, observations, suggestions to share. I guess I can get out in front. So the brain damage bowls and such, that is a big part of the holiday season, for sure. The King holiday is coming up. That often elicits a lot of racist commentary behavior from people classified as white in the workplace. We've got lots of that in the archives where, race soldiers gotta make sure they get some sort of racist poke in about that day, and you're gonna be eating watermelon for King Day, that type of thing. If they by chance at your job have some sort of program, skit, anything where this is to honor King Day, we're going to talk about equity, privilege, anything like that, and they come to you to solicit your input, or maybe even have you be a part of the group that's going to put this on, or anything like that, no thank you. We've had that one before too, and they might even hook that, the King, whatever they're going to try and event, they're going to concoct and want you to be a part of, or maybe lead, spearhead, they might say. They might even try and connect it to Black History Month, because that's right around the corner. No thank you. No thank you. At most, if I have to attend, and that's going to be on the clock, of course, if I have to attend, at most, I'll take notes and ask a question, at most, but no thanks. I'm not participating. I'm not organizing. I don't have any ideas. No thank you. No arm twisting like it's nothing. Like, unless they say, like, hey, we got Black History Month bonus. Now, I've never heard that, just like I've never had a Christmas bonus. But now, if they're going to pay you some extra money to do this, maybe that would certainly change the equation. But I've never heard that before. They don't give you no salary. They don't give you no, Starbucks. They don't even give you the half-eaten bag of peanut M&Ms to do the Negro History Month celebration or Dr. King event or nothing like that. Might even just get you some scorn even by other non-white people. Anyway, or just waste your time. Remember, we had that too. We had a black male. They asked him to come and be a part of some tacky event like this or what have you that they were going to do in February, and they tricked him or what have you, and he said, oh, okay, I'll do it, even though he regretted it. And then they came back like a few weeks later and said, in fact, Leroy, we have to talk to our legal department and see if we even are allowed to do this. Sounded like the folks with the bonus after they've been doing it for 40 years. And he said they just never got back to him. Play it again, Sam. Doesn't get any better than tacky. Said they never even got back to him after all that. That's why I said that you're going to waste my time on some nonsense or whatever. No, thank you. Anyway, hopefully they won't have anything like that at your job. We can just get back to business as usual, make as much money as possible, learn about racism, white supremacy, and all things constructive. Let's see. Did we miss anybody? Other folks who have commentary, strategies to offer? Give folks about 5 minutes, see if they have other observations to share with regards to the plantation. Hopefully, again, everybody got through the holiday season. Hopefully, people had some time off, so they're, kind of somewhat rested and maybe got to do some cleaning. That's constructive use of time and energy, right? Maybe even got to spend some constructive time with other non-white people, attempted family members without conflict, eat some healthy foods, and, talk about constructive plans for 2025, constructive counter-racist plans for 2025. Let's see. Retired firefighter in Florida. I don't think firefighters get a bonus neither. Maybe they give you an extra slide down the pole and Dalmatian puppy if they're pregnant at the time. But no, I can't think they don't get no Christmas bonus at the fire department either. Let's see. Retired firefighter in Florida.
Greetings, everyone. I don't recall getting one during the quote-unquote Christmas holidays. What I did through that late 20s, early 30s amount of time on the job during that time of year, I took off a month vacation. It was mixed in with the anniversary of the day I was born, that people call birthdays, and I put that with some other time that I had and took off for an entire month. So I don't know what took place during that time on the job because I was off and didn't come back until the following year. But what I was calling for was, while the program was going on, actually, I came up with two reports based on the fire service. One was a very popular incident that took place down here in Delray, Florida, where a large fire truck, one of the larger fire trucks that has about 100-foot ladder on it. All of this is steel, metal, that sort of thing, was hit by a train. The trains that look like bullets, which go pretty fast. So you don't notice until it gets up close to you on how fast it's actually going. And anyway, I just saw the report to whereas, and this was inevitable, was going to happen. They suspended so far 4 people. I basically have an understanding of the order of things on who got suspended. The chief that operates the area, the immediate chief in the area, the officer of the unit, and the driver. And I'm putting my focus on the driver. I couldn't find any pictures of no one but the first 2 people that I mentioned. But the driver has a name that is common with black males, David Wyatt. So I am not stating that it's a black male, but it possibly could be. And if it is, he is in some pretty bad trouble, for one thing, because even if he, being that he had the steering wheel in his hand at the time, the train is not going to stop. It's up to the driver of a vehicle, whether it's a fire truck or your car, to avoid the train by stopping. I don't care what the emergency is. You're not going to be in good shape to help out on the emergency if you get hit by a train or an accident of that magnitude, especially. And there were reports that the fire truck was needling in past the crossing warnings that comes down. And I actually know about that. There is a intense desire for people on jobs like that to be quote unquote heroes, no matter what type of call. It depends on what kind of call they're going on, and they actually go beyond safety. And sometimes it's either some sort of accident that occurs. I know about accidents that occurs that actually were deadly in that process because of not yielding and being safe when you go through intersections, that sort of thing. In this particular case, apparently he may have been needling through that particular situation and underestimated how fast that train was actually coming. Now, the good thing about it, no one was killed. From my estimation, by looking at what the impact was, it was in the rear portion of a rather large, long vehicle, and it hit at a very, very strong area, right at the base of where that steel ladder is positioned. But there were injuries on the train as well as on the fire truck, but none were deadly. I think it was because of where the collision took place at. But nevertheless, these people are being suspended, and it probably is not going to go too well, especially with the driver. And I'm hoping that the driver was not a black male. But anyway, the next one definitely was a non-white person, black female. It's a common situation that takes place sometimes in the workplace. She was fired for having a tattoo. I don't know what the rules are. This is in Mobile, Alabama. Black female. Just to try to give you a description of the tattoo. She had a crew cut, and the tattoo is in the back of her head. It looks like a drawing of the bone, the spine, a drawing of a spine, and where the spine makes connection with the brain area. Something like that. To me, it was kind of gross looking, actually. And she has a crew cut. But anyway, she was fired for it. Now, I'm pretty sure, and she did mention that there were others who had tattoos, but the bottom line is the strategy is to get rid of the person and have them to use their money and time and energy to fight to get back on the job. In most cases, it does not happen. I'm not saying it would work to her favor, but it would be very tough, very complicated for her to get her job back, I would say. So it's best to not to do those things. Although some of them I did, but not to the extent that she took it. But I would advise that you basically try to get through the period of time of employment to a retirement with very little attention being put on you. That would be your best. Journey to do while you're on a job, because white people do pay attention to you. That's for sure. And that's all I have to say. Thanks for listening.
Thank you much, retired firefighter in Florida. Certainly, once again, all attention on the non-white people, and what retired firefighter just said, totally logical. In terms of race soldiers, they will get us to waste up our time and energy. They fire us from the job, even if they do so unjustly, maybe even criminally sometimes. Use all your time and energy. Sometimes it takes years for these legal disputes. Maybe you win, maybe you don't. Even if you win, they appeal, and all that wrangling. And it's so difficult to win these legal cases in the system of white supremacy racism. But man, for the tattoo case, and I do hear Mr. Fuller's voice. I remember him saying And he quoted our once and future two-time president-elect Donald J. Trump. Said he tells his young relatives to tell him no tattoos. No tattoos. Get it together. We talked about that with Dr. Welsing sometime back as well. All of that said, there are so many jobs where they did have that as a rule, and that would be widespread. You know, it was associated with convicts and gang activity and all the rest of it. In some circles, still is thought of that way. But that has changed so radically over the last 30 years or so that you have lots of white people of a variety of ages now where they have visible tattoos, maybe not on their skull, but visible tattoos. So there are lots of workplaces where they used to have that sort of policy that you could be terminated or not hired if you had some sort of tattoo or what have you visible. They've had to change those policies because now they got a lot of white people who have visible tattoos. So that might be one. Hey, you might be able to get an attorney of the equal protection under the law, especially if they got any white employees on that job who have tattoos. Oh, yeah, she might have a great case to win. That might be one of the exceptions. Like, yep, discrimination, and they'll do the same thing. We're not saying that racism was practiced, but here's $5 million. And then we're going to appeal that too. The fire truck, man. Safety, we talk about that all the time. Safety. Now, I don't know. I've never been a firefighter, but man, oh man, I am sure they have training to be a firefighter. I think retired firefighter has talked to us about that before. I'm pretty sure part of that training deals with if you're going to be on the road and operating that truck, once they got the sirens on and we got to put the Dalmatian on the truck and get to that fire. Whoa, what if we cross train tracks? Whoa, it's got to be a code for dealing with that. Lots of places have train tracks. So, man, I don't know what the circumstances are, but I hope, the person followed the code. He said that it seemed like maybe whoever was driving the fire truck somehow lurched forward, and they may have been forward of where vehicles are supposed to stop safely for the train. Yee. I hope that was not the case. I think that can be a criminal offense in some areas. Safety, especially around train tracks. Like, my goodness, safety. As he said that, hey, maybe number one, thankfully, no one was killed. Man. And then we can get to hope nobody will face criminal charges. Hope nobody, no major injuries, that sort of thing. But wow, safety first. Pay attention in the training to all components of the safety training. Wow, definitely have to see how all that goes. If it was indeed a non-white driver, black male driver, who, might be facing charges and all that, and let's see how all this goes. Yeah, that would certainly be one to pay attention to. And another reminder about the importance of safety rules on the job, like follow those at all times and be mindful if other people are not abiding by the safety regulations. Imagine you're in the passenger seat or wherever else on that fire truck, and if that is the case, that the truck was not stopped where it was supposed to be, like, oh my gosh, we could have died. We could have died. Like, man. Anywho, much obliged. Retired firefighter in Florida who also said no bonus for he. He's in Florida, so presumably the mosquito board, people say, we looking out for you, retired firefighter. We keeping the mosquitoes up off of you. You don't want to get stung and bit up while you're out there keeping the blazes under control. That's why we need a $1,000 Christmas bonus. Let's see. Tumbling Dice should be with us as well. Did you get any form of a Christmas bonus, privileged black male Tumbling Dice?
Hi, good evening, Gus. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Hi, good evening, Gus. I was on vacation starting before the week of Christmas. So last week I got a call that they wanted me to come in to talk about an issue. It was two issues. It was one in regards to my time card and one in regards to something they found on the bus in the driver's area. So the first thing was my time card. They said I didn't fill my time card out right, and it shows some improprieties. So I went down there with my personal records of the days I worked, and I put everything out, and I showed the arch deceiver, the white male, where these were the days I worked, and I matched them up with what they had on the time card, and it showed that they jumped to a hasty conclusion and that I was right. So the only thing I had to do in the time card is to fill out my the slips that showed that I was off work on my vacation. So I was right and they were wrong. So basically they were trying to say that I was stealing time. Now, mind you, I had to go down there on my vacation. And then the second issue was they found a piece of white paper with some, what they claimed was, basically they said that they found a marijuana roach on my bus. All right? So they said they found it in the driver's area. So now I'm a weed smoker now. You know, I don't even smoke. So I told them, look, man, I don't even smoke. You could test me all day. You could test me from now until, you know, whenever you want. I don't smoke weed. I don't smoke period. You know what I'm saying? So they said, well, we were just asking if it was your roach. I said, come on, man. I don't smoke. So how is it going to be my roach? So it's like what you always say on the show, Gus. Black people can't even be on vacation and enjoy their time off without these guys calling you on your vacation. I was having a good vacation until this situation. So I just wanted to share that with you. And thanks for having me share this.
I was waiting. I thought he was going to say, Black Brother Gus, they called me in. They said, look here, Black Brother Tumbling Dice. We want to look out for you this year holiday season. We got you a set of red, black, and green dice. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Next time you go in there and shake them up on that and pow. They ain't never seen nothing like that before, have you? Red, black, and green. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Woo! He didn't say that, though. He didn't get no bonus or nothing. They accused him of being a time thief. And he had to have his records, which we talk about all the time, the importance of documenting. I've said that they have apps and all the rest where you can track when I came into work, when I left, what your hours should be for that work, all of that. So if this sort of thing happens, you'll have all of your documentation. And you can even, if you do have a time card, old school, picture, bam, take out your phone so you can record all of that. If you clock in, because they have biometrics and a lot of that at other places, you can just take a picture. Bam. If they have any sort of electronic monitoring or what have you, you want documentation for your records as well. That way you have everything, and then you can track to make sure their records are accurate, my records are accurate. Strive for accuracy. But this sort of thing is very kind. It's always to your detriment. It's never, you know, we're hooking you up with an extra 5 hours or something like that. It's always you're being accused of time theft, or they're cheating you out of like 20 hours of work or something of that nature. Always document your hours, document. And he says, they didn't even, this is your roach. They could have just said, this is your cannabis. This is your reefer. This is your marijuana. Nah. This is your roach. Isn't it your roach? Even that's sort of, like, wait a minute, what, time out. Like, come on. I don't even think you would have talked to a white person like that. Like, this is your roach, isn't it, Chad? What? What? Come on now. Even that, I think they would have said, like, cannabis, marijuana. Leroy has roaches. Tumbling Dice has roaches. Come on, man. Come on. And same thing. Don't you all have video? We've done this like 8 times now. Is there any video of me consuming cannabis on any school property, on the bus, at any point? I know we got shooting dice and shooting white people in the head and all the rest of it, raping white women. But is there any video me puffing Smokey Friday on the school bus? Do we have that? We don't have that. Okay. I was even thinking, like, we do drive the bus. Like, did they do that? Did they drug test you to drive the bus?
Yes, Gus. We get drug. Matter of factly, I got drug tested 4 times this year. 4.
I was thinking that. I think they do drug test for that job, so all this is kind of a moot point. You've got many vials of my urine, yes? All right, then. I mean, for a roach. Come on. And again, it doesn't get any better than tacky. Even for the high in the time where they do so much of that, they'll call him on his day off. Oh, Leroy, I just missed you. I just wanted to apologize and let you know that I empathize and feel your pain as a privileged black male. It's like, it's my day off, man. You couldn't wait till you come back in. Or to lie. So, well, you've been cheating on the time, so we got to come in and look at this right now. Then after we lie about that, what about the roach? Say we got to come in on my day off. The roach. We couldn't have discussed this over the phone. You could have just looked at my urine sample and we could have moved it up. Nope. We had to talk about the roach in person. Look into your bloodshot eyes. Yes, thank you. That's a joyful part of my vacation, yes. Thank you kindly, privileged black male, tumbling dice. Make sure next time you are more careful with your roaches so you don't have these sort of experiences. And then document your hours worked. Woo, man. Life and times of privileged black dudes. Let's see. Our caller at the courthouse in Florida with us as well. Did you have commentary, sir?
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners and callers. Gus, I was thinking about if there was any time that I received a bonus, and I have not received a bonus from the job. The next thing I wanted to discuss is some reports. The first is, I don't know if I've used the term, I've heard the term washout in regards to a passport photo, but I just never heard that used before, especially when it's told to a black person, saying that their photo would be washed out if they wore a white shirt or something like that. I had made note of that. And my second report was that it was another, I'm quite sure a lot of people have experienced where they're helping a white person or maybe even a black person, and you're sharing information with them. For instance, how they need to get a certified copy to get a name change. This white woman was trying to get a name change after a divorce, but she was upset about an error that the civil area messed up in regards to sending her a final judgment for a dissolution of marriage document because the lack of contact that she provided, and she was saying her husband got 2 more copies than she did. And I was like, well, you would have to contact or go back over to the civil area. And then she was saying, well, they sent me over here. I said, of course, because they want you to get certified copies. Okay? So she, I think, was practicing racism. And she was one of these individuals that was using sign language, I guess, or trying to sign what she was saying. But he understood what I was saying, but I still think she was practicing racism and saying that, well, I shouldn't have to pay for this. And I said, well, you're going to have to pay for this to go to the Social Security office. So she ended up paying, and it was $4 now. All of that was $4. So the white woman supervisor, I initiated contacting her because I wanted her to see, one of these experiences where, I use the term second confirmation or whatever, where if I'm confirming something and the customer isn't receiving it, and I go and contact the manager, supervisor, and she or that person says it, and then it's received just with no problem, okay? And she tried to use the person's, I guess, deficiency or whatever term that I can use, or how she was using gestures and stuff like that to talk. But I kind of predicted that since she was classified as white too, that she would, I would say, defend the white person, of course. But I just wanted to share that because that happens on the job a lot as well. The third report is I wanted to discuss. I had shared you some images. One is those downtown ambassadors with those kind of bright neon green uniforms. I've been seeing them going to work, and they sometimes park in front of the courthouse. Sometimes they're picking up trash. They're trying to speak with some of the homeless people that are asking for money. It seems like most of them are black males, I'm noticing. And it's been maybe like the last 2 months they've been active around the downtown area. That's been another observation. And my next report is that it got to the Area 8 part where this one of the white women that I've been mentioning with the fan view shirt, this one, she came in and said to another white woman, "Oh, I've been waiting to tell y'all this all day long, so let me hurry up and say this before I get in trouble." And she said that she had a ruler, right? And she with this black guy, right? So she said she had a ruler in her phone, and an older white woman that works on the white side says to her, "Oh, well, wait a minute, he can't be that big. He isn't that big." So they all start laughing, all right? So now I'm like, come on now. I know good and well if I made any kind of comment like that to the female coworkers about female genitalia or something like that, in reverse or whatever, I know I'll be in trouble, probably fired or whatever. So that was one that I wrote down. And if I could share 2 more, there's a black female that does the timesheets. She does a wonderful job at it for the employees to get their paychecks. And she had a sign on the door that you can tell that she typed this out, printed it out, taped it to the door, and, the door was closed. Now, I I would say the top tier white people, okay, in administration, HR, the assistant, chief deputy, people like that. They come down there and they sort the mail. So she's sitting in there, and I think she's heard them say things that I guess you can just say that bothered her, got on her nerves or whatever, and things that were inappropriate. So the sign said, unless there's a fire or something going on or something like that, I really wanted to take a photo of it. And it had in quotes, keep your thoughts to yourself. And it had it in big, bold print. So I'm thinking, was talking to these white people. I'm not sure exactly what happened as a result of that. But she, from what I'm hearing, has been in conflict with these particular white people. Okay, and if I could share this last one. There was 2 racist jokes. I would classify these as racist jokes at the front counter. And this is on what I would call the white side of the department. And they were at the front counter. Now, the black male that works at the counter, I noticed, coincidentally, I'm not going to say coincidence, but at that time wasn't present. This white woman that usually is on the segregated area side, she was up there and she was laughing. And she was talking with another clique member, I call her a clique member, and they had this exchange about what memes or whatever they saw online. So I said, let me get this envelope and let me kind of, just step around the corner right here, so the white people wouldn't see me, because it looked like a lot of the other white people were comfortable hearing what they were hearing. So this white chick, she says, what do you call, or how do you describe your ex in one word? And she says, ape. And then she starts laughing, ha, 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 and everything. So, because she, once again, somebody dates black guys. So the other white chick, the white woman, says, that reminds me of one that I saw online a couple of days ago, and it was about, it said black and then name another word, and then the association she went with was chicken bone or something, and that was the meme that she read or she was reciting that she had saw online. So I said, oh yeah, I got to remember to write that one down as well, because see, the other 2 black people, now one was gone on her 15-minute break. I seen her come back in, other black person on the other side. So, of course, they didn't hear these comments. But I was just coming into the back door and just kind of walked through the area, so they didn't really see me. But the other white people, of course, it didn't look like they did anything to oppose the comment that was being made. So, of course, they're racist suspects as well. And that's all the comments that I have for now. Thanks for allowing me to share.
Clowning. Much obliged. Caller at the courthouse, who also would presumably be benefiting from the works of the mosquito board in North Florida, because we don't want them to invade other parts of the state, although he's already in North Florida. So yeah, we got your back, black brother. We keeping the mosquitoes up off of you too. Let's see. The washout, that term being used for, I think he said it was a black person that's coming in to get their passport photographed, and they had a white shirt on. It was, oh man, this Leroy's going to be washed out. He got all that white on. That is interesting. Now, I will say, having done a teaspoon of photography work while I was in school eons ago, I do remember the photography instructor pointing out that the difference in photographing people who have lots of melanin as opposed to those who do not, people classified as white. With people classified as white, you tend to want to use less light in photographing them because they have no melanin. If you use a lot of light, they will be washed out. So you want to try to use less light so you can see their actual color. Then, when you photograph black people, it is the opposite. With black people, you want to use more light. People who are darker, have melanin, use more light. Not less light. Use less light. They're already dark, so they won't be seen at all. Use more light, they will stand out. So at least from a photographic perspective, if it's a dark melanated person and they're wearing a white shirt, that might present some photograph washed out. You've got all that white, all that balance. That is interesting. But yes, at least from a photo perspective, yeah, I can see if you go darker, or excuse me, if you go more light to capture the melanated skin, and then they've got all that white, especially if it's like a long sleeve shirt. I don't know how much of the top they capture, but it's a very bright, new, sparkly, well taken care of shirt. Yes, washed out. Let's see. With the name, he said this is someone who is disabled, but classified as white. Disabled, but classified as white. And they're coming in and communicating and what have you, doing their name change or whatever they need. So the copies is going to be $4. What? I'm not giving this nigger no $4. And over there, communicating all this. That's not what they said. And you lied about it, and I'm not going to do. Is it even with a disabled white person? I get that second confirmation, presumably from a white person. I go get them, and they say exactly what I said. Copy's going to be $4. And they go ahead and pay the $4. Now, he said the white person did defend and stick up for this disabled, presumably, race soldier, at least suspect. To be expect, dare I even say, that might be a teaspoon of the Voltron effect once again. Jesus, if anything, the supervisor should be taking my side. We are in this together. We are the family. We are next to the panic button together, not her. And we're saying the same thing. You got to pay $4 for the copies, right? Yeah, $4 for the copies. You're on my side. Well, she was disabled. She was just having a time. She probably didn't even understand because you didn't even say it right, Leroy. Sometimes you get the mumbling and stammering and all the, like, wait a minute, man. I said exactly what you said. It's $4. Like, she is just practicing racism. Like, nigga, woman, nigga, you can tell me it's going to be $4. No. All that other, come on. Which he said it seems like that's standard. I just come up here and get nasty sometimes with anybody here, but certainly I get nasty with a black person. Okay, you're not even supposed to be working up here to begin with. Even the disabled white people. Even the disabled white people. Come on. The sexual, they got all of it. The racist jokes, the sexist jokes, whatever you call those. Like, man. And exactly. I would write that down because if I was in here and I'm talking about some female's brassiere or hind parts or anything of the sort like that, I would have been criminally charged. Y'all are in here joking in that manner? Come on. And that's another one where I say, same thing I said with Jeff Maddrey. You can't behave like white people in a work environment. It's just not going to be allowed. Now, you can see if white people do that in your work environment, they make those type of jokes and, talking about sexual activity and joking about it and being really crass publicly. Right on. That's on them. Same thing I said before. I wouldn't snicker at those jokes or engage in them, because then when they turn around and we get to the racist jokes earlier, what they're going to say, oh, well, we were talking about Bob's penis and everything else, you were laughing and snickering along with all of it, so we thought, you could joke around. We thought you had a great sense of humor like us. That's what they're going to say. None of that. Anything like that. That really would be in the same category. Like, do not tell me any of that. I don't want to hear any of that ever. Talking about, come on. And plus, they know I can't do it. Come on. I'm going to sit up here and cheer about some white person being crass and all that. Come on. The cleanup downtown. He got the pictures that I was able to see the folks. Now, he said it's mostly privileged black dudes who do this work. They got the uniform and the bright neon shirt. I mean, they're really bright neon shirts. And they go out, I guess, and they talk to the so-called homeless people and houseless individuals, and we're going to keep this part of Florida safe. Whoopee. I noted the people, I guess, that go out and do that, as he said, looks like it is mostly black dudes. The people who look like they are in charge of these black dudes, like who do the hiring and everything else, looks like a lot of people who would be classified as white. They do not have on no neon yellow top or none of that. These folks have on slacks, nice shoes, sports coat, sunglasses. Like, I'm accustomed to being in an office. I go to nice business meetings every day and, talk about the future of North Florida and maybe go meet with the people on the mosquito board. That's what they look like. That's mostly white dudes. Almost all white dudes look like they got one black dude that they allowed in there, but everybody else, white dudes. White dudes. Then they put the black people in the truck to go out and behave, Leroy. Get away from here, Leroy. Put that cigarette down, Leroy. No camping here, Leroy. No sleeping on the bench, Leroy. Yeah. Let's see. He said that the young lady in accounting, now, even I had to pause right there. Like, if it's one person or group I want to keep in my good graces, it is for sure accounting. We just talked about discrepancies with payroll and everything else. I want to be homies, at least courteous, with the folks in payroll. Who is going in and harassing the payroll folks to the point they got to put an aggressive sign up if it ain't related to a fire? Like, my life in danger. Other than that, shut it up. Dang, like, that is aggressive. Like, what have y'all done to the payroll people? Like, dang. I mean, I can't even grab that. Now, see, again, she has come to the same conclusion as Gus T. We are not just going to sit around here and chit-chat. Now, maybe it could be, if she's in payroll, maybe they got a lot of pay discrepancies there, too. And so maybe people come and they think it's her fault and they come and whine. But he says she does a great job. So I guess it can't be that, because he says she has always done a great job. It doesn't seem like she's new. She's been there for a minute. So maybe it's not that. He did say she does great work, so we'll say it's not that. Who is going to fuss at the payroll people? Or to just go and tell them about random politics, what they think about the governor, what they think about the president-elect 2 times. Who knows? Who knows? But, I mean, that is, dang. I mean, that's how we're starting 2025. Like, dang. And now I can see if she's been hearing the racist jokes and all that, well, then, yeah, I totally get why you would put that on the door. And, hey, shut it up. Don't even come in here. Just shut it up. Send me an email if you got something. Unless it's a fire, hit the alarm. Other than, don't even come in here and talk to me. He said the door was closed and everything. Like, hey, Christmas is over. Get on out of here. Like, right on. If they're around telling racist jokes in the work, because, I mean, it totally could have been. Maybe she walked by and heard that. Maybe she walked by and heard that. They out here telling racist jokes, dating the black man. Even that, I'm so-called dating sexually involved with a black dude. And what's the word do you think of with your partner? The black dude I'm having sex with. What I think? Ape. And call it, and they go to black people. Now we've heard that before. See, white person there having sex with a black person, and because she said they were talking about the monkeys, and she said, "Oh man, I got monkeys at home too. I need to get me a monkey too. It helped me take care of my monkeys." Which is not really, what? Because Dr. Jennifer Eberhardt, she did win a Genius Grant. She said, hey, this is what it means to be white. Most white people reflexively, she put a timer on it, did a study. It was like milliseconds. White people associate niggers with apes. And this is recent, too. This is like 2014. Very recent. Stanford, how could I say that? Stanford's Dr. Jennifer Eberhardt that won a Genius Grant. I didn't see her while I was there, although I didn't see very many black people, so I don't know where they had her at on campus. I have to go and see where her office is. And then they didn't just have one racist. See, they can't just tell one, like Lay's potato chips. You can't just do one racist joke, especially they think all the niggers. See, we got that all the time. See, they have a code. They wait. See, he said last week, they wait till all the black people on and they say, shh, we got it. Let's go. And they can go and say all their racist things and talk wild racist jokes and all that. And whoa, Leroy. They then broke out in all the racist commentary and would say, hey, what's another word for black people? Chicken bone? Now, that's the same thing. I said, man, where they send the prisoners in Alabama. I told you, I felt some type of way because they could have just said we sent them all to McDonald's and I wouldn't have said anything. Because we sent them all to Taco Bell, I wouldn't have said anything. They said, the black brother, we can't parole you. Where did they send him to? They sent him to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Black people and chicken? That's all you could think of? Sit around and snicker about black people and chicken? Yup. In 2030? Yup. And gorillas, because that's old. You don't even have new races. They just tell the same racist jokes over and over and over and over. But real talk, the young lady in accounting, maybe she heard all that. Maybe she was walking by, she was on lunch or whatever, and she heard all that in addition to whatever else, and I'm done. I'm done with all y'all. Don't even come in here. If a fire don't break out, beat it. Don't even talk to me. I'm done. Chicken bones and all that. Like, wow. Just wow. And again, you can't be stunned. In my view, that's the correct response. It should not be the one. What did you say? I never. And I can't believe in 2020. Write it down. You don't even have to let them know that you heard all that. Write it down. They might break out and do it again the next day. Write it down. Nothing to be surprised about. What it means to be white might even be better if they don't know that you're aware of all this. Find out, then they'll be talking about you. They won't be joking, but they'll be talking racism about you, which they already do to said nigger. We can't wait to get rid of that nigger. But wow. That is, if anything, that's why we have this here broadcast, so that you won't be surprised about those sort of things when they're talking about you as a monkey in the workplace. That's what's supposed to happen. I'll get my phone out so I can jot that down. They called me a gorilla today, and go back about. If anything, that's why you don't eat when they bring the cookies in. You don't eat the cookies. Sitting around snickering gorilla cookies. You don't eat the cookies. Remember, they had ugliest sweater because they said that one too when they were going to do white elephant and all that old nonsense. They put the black female on the front of the newsletter. Said, who got the ugliest sweater? Look, Keisha, look at her. Got the ugliest sweater. Isn't that the ugliest sweater you ever seen? Just, that's a don't do none of it. None of it, none of it, none of it. The decorations, the punch, eggnog, mistletoe, none of it. I'm here to make as much money as I can, get home safely, learn about white supremacy, racism, all things constructive while I'm here, and that's that. We will do it again Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, first compensatory call-in of the new year. Oh, and I forgot to say, man, all that, I said Texas because that's where we said the alleged attackers from, but New Orleans. All that in New Orleans and Vegas, we'll talk about that tomorrow, but man, I have nothing to say about that in the workplace. Someone asks you about any of that, I don't know nothing about any of that. Did you see it? Nope, don't even know what you're talking about. I wouldn't care if you read every article on it. Same thing. You have nothing to say about any of that in the workplace. Even to other black people, non-white people, victims of racism, nothing. Any hoodles. Let's see. We'll be here tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. We ask that you help us remain patient with ourselves. Remind us to demonstrate the highest levels of black self-respect at all times, in all places, each and every time we are in contact with another black person. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. No name calling, no gossiping, no throwaway offspring, no name calling black people. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. No problem. You're a victim. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.